11 o'clock. We'll be calling the Manoa Neighborhood Board to order at this time. So let's see. I'm not sure if we have a quorum at this moment.
You want me to do a roll call?
Real quick, since board business is kind of early on the agenda, just to try to get it out of the way. So if you can do roll call first.
Okay. When I call your name, please say here. Zane?
Here.
Ellen?
Was that me?
Ellen?
Ellen Watson.
Oh,
Watson. Not here? Okay, Bozo? Not here. Nagaji?
Here.
Okamoto?
Here.
Lumen's here?
Here.
Yep. Lee? Nope. Hey, Koff? Joanne? Koff? See you? Nope. Chong? Chong? Diane? Oh, she's here. Moylan?
Here.
Okay. Kawano? Kawano?
Here.
Oh, okay. Fox?
Here.
And Joseph? Mishreki? Mishreki? Okay.
I'm here, Chair. Ellen Watson.
Oh, okay. We have 9 members. That we have quorum.
Great. Okay. So first off, we have the Honolulu Fire Department for the report. Is any
Everybody, can you hear me?
Oh, there we go. Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, great. Good evening, Chris Edwards, HFD Station 22, Manoa. I'll go over the statistics and our safety tip for the month. In terms of fires, we just had 1 nuisance fire and 9 activated alarms. In terms of emergencies, we had 45 medical emergencies and 2 motor vehicle collisions. The safety tip for this month is in reference to power outages. Hawaii is fire prone with year-round risk of wildfire. Hazardous weather conditions, especially during hurricane season, which is June 1st to November 30th, will increase the risk. The HFD encourages everyone to proactively protect yourself, your family, and your property through advanced planning, understanding, and preparation. In the event of a power outage, remember these safety tips. Build a 14-day disaster supply kit. Take an inventory of the items you need that rely on electricity. Plan for batteries or other alternative power sources to meet your needs when the power goes out. Know your medical needs, i.e. devices, refrigerated medications. A general reference list is available online at honolulu.gov/DEN. Using appliances during power outages. Avoid carbon monoxide poisoning. Generators, camp stoves, and charcoal grills should always be used outdoors and at least 20 feet away from windows. Turn off or disconnect appliances, equipment, or electronics that may be damaged during a possible momentary power surge or spike. For more tips and detailed information, visit ready.gov/power-outages. Starting July 1st, HECO will commence their public safety power shutoff program to reduce the risk of wildfire. As one component of their 3-phase wildfire safety strategy, HECO may preemptively shut off power in identified high-risk areas during periods of forecast high winds or dry conditions. This program is being utilized as their last line of defense to keep communities safe and may result in extended power outages. A PSPS could last for several hours or up to several days. HFD HECO will continue to work with the Board of Water Supply and other city, state, and federal agencies to lessen any impacts from a PSPS. Visit hawaiianelectric.com for more information. That's it.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions from the board for the Honolulu Fire Department? Members of the community? Hearing and seeing none. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
Up next, we have from the Honolulu Police Department.
Aloha, Lieutenant Nakamura from HPD. These are stats for as compared to the previous month. Okay, let's see. Motor vehicle thefts were 8 as compared to burglaries was 1 as compared to 2. Thefts 8 as compared to 11, and UEMVs, which is theft from auto, was 3 compared to 5. It's a total of service of 6,450 for district. And further information can be found at our website, www.honolulupd.org. And our safety tip for the month is just a reminder that we're getting into hurricane season. And the thing about hurricanes is it's not just the actual hurricane, but even though it might not be a category 1, you could still have high winds, storm surges, heavy rain. A lot of times the heavy rain part just gets us just as bad as an actual hurricane. So a watch is 48 hours. A hurricane may be coming. Be prepared. And then the one you got to watch out for is the warning. Yeah. So within 36 hours, the hurricane is expected to make landfall. And there's a lot of good information, just like the HFD captain said, on the honolulu.gov at the Department of Emergency Management website. You can find good information over there. And that's our safety tip for the month.
Okay. Any questions from the board? Member Kawano. Patty? You're still muted, Patty.
Sorry. Thank you, Chair. Hi, Lieutenant. I have a question regarding speeding. Is there like any, I know in the past there was like a unit of HPD that goes around and catching speeders, because I don't know when it started, but I noticed that during the weekend, like Friday, Saturday night, about 12:30ish a.m., there's like a lot of loud vehicle passing on H1. It's like they're speeding. I don't know if it's motorcycle, like, or those modified vehicles that they're like the souped up car that they're really loud. It sounds like a bunch of them racing towards Hawaii Kai side. Does anybody, I mean, have you folks heard any complaint about that, or are you aware of the situation?
Yes, there's a continuing problem with racers all over the island, and especially on the weekends, and especially during the summer. We do what we can in patrol. In fact, we have our little mini plans in place, but there are also specialized units such as the solo bikes and traffic division. And I think last weekend they were out in force, and they have better equipment to catch these guys, and the staffing. So we are addressing the problem. It continues to be a problem, but we're definitely on it, and we're trying to just we just had one last month. These fatalities, and this saddest thing when people, especially around this time of year, graduation season, they go out and they do stupid things, and then they get into fatal accidents. It's like, how do you tell them not? It's just not worth it, other than to cite and take these proactive measures. And people might come down on us for being harsh on a specific type of group of people. No, we're not. It's just trying to about things so we can live a long life. But yeah, we recognize it's a problem. It's a continuing problem, not just in East Honolulu, but island-wide. And rest assured, not only patrol, but also the traffic division they have dedicated nighttime speeding and DUI teams. So we try East Honolulu as many times as we can.
Okay, thank you, Lieutenant. Just was wondering if you folks happen to be around, like I said, between 12:30 a.m. to 1:30 a.m. guarantee.
Yeah.
You can hear a car go by. Wailai, Kaimuki, Kahalasa is really loud. So thank you
what
very
we
much.
do as far as I'm only in charge of patrol. But I am in charge of the nighttime guys. So what we do is we have dedicated line patrol units who are out there from I think it's from 1 to 5 o'clock. But the trick of it is we have to catch them. We have to clock them. We have to catch them. Okay.
Okay. Anybody else, members of the community, have any questions for the Honolulu Police Department? I am not seeing anybody else. Thank you for your time.
Okay. Aloha.
So up
See you next
next
month.
on the, yep, next month. Up next on the agenda, board business first. We'll try to get that out of the way. Filling of vacancies. I believe there was somebody over here who wanted to join up the board, but we ran out of time towards the end. Is that person here tonight at this moment? Or is anybody else interested in joining up any of the vacancies on our Manoa neighborhood board?
Hi, Chair. So the person that was supposed to come here for Subdistrict 3, Jason DeMarco, yeah, he can't make it tonight. So he said he's gonna come tomorrow to do next month's meeting to volunteer for the group. So
Okay. Good to know. Thanks for the update. Moving on next to the approval of the Wednesday, May 1st, 2024 meeting minutes. Do I have any
I'll make a
motions?
motion to approve.
Motion by Member Watson. Do I have a second?
Yes.
Moylan.
Yes. Yes, member from Moylan, thank you. So we're going to produce by unanimous consent. Is there any objections to the approval of the Wednesday, May 1st, 2024 meeting minutes? Hearing and seeing none, the meeting minutes are approved by, oh, was there a comment? No? Okay. I'm hearing some background noise. Just wanted to make sure one last time if there's any comments on the approval of the meeting minutes. Hearing and seeing none, the meeting minutes for May have been approved. Moving on next to any updates from the primary urban center development plan?
There's nothing else new. They issued their final plan, but clearly the city and the state don't read their plan since they just want to build housing everywhere. So anyway, the primary urban center came up with a plan to backfill in urban Honolulu, and the officials just aren't listening to the recommendations. So that's all I can report.
Ellen, out of curiosity, do you want us to keep putting this on the agenda?
Pardon?
Do you want to keep leaving the primary urban center development plan on the agenda?
Let's at least leave it on for another month, maybe. Let's see what shakes, yeah? Okay.
Okay. Manoa Banyan Court. Is anybody able to
wait.
present on that?
Oh wait.
Oh,
Thank
yes.
Just
Yes, Member Moylan.
How does one get a copy of the primary urban center development plan?
You
Ellen?
go on their website, I'm not sure what it is, and you can print it out. It's like a volume, yeah? Or you can read it online. So just, I guess, probably just look up the plan, right? Primary Urban Center Development Plan. It's a PUCDP. If you Google that, PUCDP, it should come up. And if you can't, go ahead and shoot me an email. My email's on the NCO website, and I'll see if I can connect you to it.
Thank you.
Okay?
Oh, we can't hear you.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Okay. Sorry, I guess my audio was cutting out just now. Is there anybody who can present on updates regarding the Manoa Banyan Court project? I'm not seeing any hands raised or comments, so I'm going to move on to any updates on the Alawai flood mitigation. Any updates on that?
Yes,
Is
Chair.
Elton here?
Yes, Mr.
Yes.
Chair.
Yes, Member Fukumoto, go ahead.
Yes, thank you, Chair. There actually have been a couple of developments. So at our last meeting, it appeared we were able to talk about this only for about half a minute. But at the time, it appeared that the current plan being developed jointly by the city and the Army Corps was in significant trouble. And it looked like the project was going to die. So two things have subsequently happened. Number one, there was an article in Civil Beat about this issue because the writer of the article attended the mayor's town hall meeting at the Manoa Valley District Park and heard the mayor say some skeptical things about the project. And so he investigated and he asked around and he wrote the article. But if you read the article, it's pretty clear that the Army Corps did not respond. So what I conclude from that is while the mayor thinks this project is going nowhere, the current version of the project is going nowhere, the Army Corps really is the party that gets to decide, and the Army Corps has not responded. So it appears that they're still thinking about the particular, that they're still thinking about concluding and perhaps issuing a final EIS. And the thing that I think confirms this is that 1 or 2 days ago, or perhaps even today, Brian Schott's office issued a press release saying that Brian Schatz has provided funding for the current EIS to be completed. So again, these people don't necessarily, I would say they don't necessarily contact us directly, even though we have people who are asking Calvin Say or the mayor's office or whatever to let us know what's going on. Instead, Brian Schatz himself just sends out a press release saying, "Oh, I've provided funding for this, and it's going to go. The EIS is going to be completed, or something like that." So that appears to be the case here. So it appears that the Army Corps has not responded to the press and any other inquiries as to what they're up to. And it looks like so far the project is moving forward, but we don't know because they won't answer our inquiries. But that's the status as far as I know. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. Any questions or from the community or the board?
Chair, if I may, this is Cyrus with Hawaii Green Growth.
Oh, yes, go ahead.
Hi, thank you. So I just posted a little note in the chat for everyone, but this is a little bit related to the Alawai Canal and more, I guess, specifically the whole watershed. We just received Hawaii Green Growth, the local nonprofit I work at. We just received a federal grant to lead free rainwater assessments across the Alawai watershed. So that's everywhere between Diamond Head and Punch Bowl, so including Palolo all the way to Makiki, at residential properties and schools and also commercial properties. But basically, in order to measure the volume of water these properties experience and then recommend the best size rain catchment or rain garden, green stormwater infrastructure is the term we typically use. We'll be tabling at the Be Ready Manoa's Fair at the Manoa Marketplace Saturday, June 15th. So if you'd like to learn more in person, we'll be there. Otherwise, I dropped the link to our website in the chat for you to look at too, and you can actually register for a rainwater assessment. And we've visited a number of Manoa residents already. Thank
Great.
you.
Thank you. That's really helpful to know about that. And that's a good plug-in for the Be Ready Manoa Fair. Again, that's on Saturday, June 15th, you said, right? Perfect. Get that word out as much as possible on that. So appreciate your comment on that. Anybody else from the community? I am not seeing anybody. So thank you very much. And then we're going to move on now to the next item on the agenda. Presentations. First off is the St. Francis School Development, also known as the Aria Lane Residential Development. Is somebody from Towel here?
Yes, can you hear me, Chazen?
Yes, I can.
Okay.
And for members of the community who are joining us at this point for this presentation, please let the Towel Group make their full presentation first, and then we will open it up to questions from the board and then to the community regarding this matter. Go ahead.
Thank you, Chair Zane, for that introduction. So I'd like to echo what Chair Zane said. We're hoping to hold the Q&A to the end of the presentation to hopefully answer some of your questions during the presentation and consolidate the question and answer at the end. So introduction first, I'm Isaiah Sato. I'm a planner and I work at RM Towel Corporation. We're the planning and entitlement agent or consultant, and we work with Avalon Group, who's developing the project Aria Lane Manoa. I think many of you might have heard about this in the last month at least, but we first presented at the May neighborhood board meeting. And at that meeting, one of the main concerns was outreach, and clearly stating that we're at the St. Francis site. So since then, just wanted to say that we have begun outreach and done a good amount of outreach there, where we held 4 informational meetings during the month of May. I hope many of you could attend. We also sent out over 4,600 mailers to Manoa addresses there. We created a project email, project website, and Instagram as well for you to get updates on the project, as well as to be able to ask questions there too, or email us if you have any questions. Our team is also actively meeting with residents on Pomoa Road and Hipawai Place. So we're really hoping to continue this outreach in the area as well. So this next slide, I wanted to start with our project team. So right off the bat, as many of you know, it's Avalon Group, the developer. So from Avalon Group, we have a few members online. We have Christine Camp, who's on the call, and we also have the Liana Luke on the call as well. We have a few other members of the team as well. From the architect side, it's Design Partners Architect Incorporated, who's the architect for the project. And similarly, we have Ryan Como, Randolph Bautista online as well. I work at RM Towel Corporation in the upper right there as a planner, but really wanted to highlight that we have an excellent design team of experienced local companies here. Besides the top 3, we have Brownlee and Lee, landscape architect. We have Wilson Okumolo as a traffic engineer, Mason as our historic architect, Steve Nims as the arborist, Hono Consulting as the archaeologist, and Control Point for the surveyor. So we do have an experienced team, and many of our team members, especially on the call, are residents of the Manoa area or grew up in Manoa there as well. This next slide just kind of highlights what we're doing. So the developer, SF Manoa LLC or Avalon Group, is proposing to develop single-family and multi-family homes, parking, green open space, as well as retain an existing Catholic ministry at the St. Francis lot. What I'm helping with is the entitlement process, or the Plan Development Housing PDH process, which is an entitlement or permit with the City and County of Honolulu that gets approved by the Department of Planning and Permitting too. So I wanted to note that, and in this PDH, the first step is going to a neighborhood board meeting, and that's where we started in May. And really, these community meetings and coming back to update the board is something that we're doing in good faith. There. So quick map of the site to help orient yourself to The project site is in the bottom center of this map, the old St. Francis lot. Again, on the south or the left side of the screen, and the west of the site, or the above Aria Lane, there is the large UH Manoa campus there as well. There's also Mid-Pac in the vicinity there. And this slide also shows our access, which is off Pomoa Road, or the upper right of our project site there, whereas as the main access to our project site. Okay, this next slide, again, a project site info. On the left side, we have an image in yellow. Outlined is the UH Manoa there too, and our project site is outlined there. Our lot is 11.12 acres, or about 480,000 square feet. Our zoning is in R7.5, and it's intended to support residential development with this zoning. This is a similar lot to the zoning of the residential lots in the vicinity. St. Francis School, the past use, many of you are very familiar with the school, closed in 2019. And at that time, in that last year, they had 450 or so students, with over 60 faculty and staff, and many nuns on the site as well. So this next slide, kind of getting into the detail of our project, but I really wanted to go through some of the project updates that we've been doing. So as you guys have seen in the last month, we've been really working with the community, or trying to work with the community, and see where we can update the project and things that we can incorporate. A few changes off the bat is our homes. So in this table, let me get a highlighter too. So on this side, the homes, we have 3 columns here. So we have 2 types of units, again, multifamily, which is generally 2-bedroom units, and single family, which is 3 or 4-bedroom units. Our earlier design had 26 multifamily and 76 single family. We reduced the multifamily count by demolishing building 200, so that's down to 14 units there, and our single family count went up just a smidge from 76 to 79. So our total unit count came down from 102 to 93, so about 10% of our total unit count there. Another thing we heard from the community and we're aware of is parking in the area. So we previously provided 317 stalls, which had 228 for single family, and 89 of those are for multifamily and guest. What we've done is we wanted to ensure that our single family residents will be parking on site, and that they won't expand into the Pomoa Road and the surrounding area. So we're going to be providing 4 stalls per single family residence, 2 in a garage and 2 fronting that there, for a total of 316 single family stalls, 44 multifamily and guest stalls there, for a total of 360. So we added about 43 stalls on the project site there. I also wanted to note, as you guys know, we're going to be complying with the city's affordable housing rules. So a portion of these multifamily units will be provided for sale or for rent in accordance with these rules, which limits the AMI and has other regulations according to that there too. So this next slide is a work in progress, but this is really our latest site plan there. So to orient yourself first, left and top is UH, the bottom is Manoa Stream, and the top right is the Pomoa Road access. So, I mean, as you guys can see, generally the site plan is similar to what was reflected in the past. A big change on the right side of the site is down here. Is we used to have building 200, which was which included 12 multifamily units there, and we're going to be demolishing that building and replacing it with 4 single family units. So that's where we get our primary reduction in our unit count there as well. Okay, go to the next slide. So this next slide, I wanted to talk about our in-law suite. So what that is based on community demand, we're going to be providing an option to convert an existing primary bedroom on the ground floor to accommodate aging parents who want to live with their children in the area. So how that works is, of the approximately 80 single-family homes, it's actually 79, but of the 79 single-family homes, will allow the option to legally construct a kitchenette within a ground floor bedroom to create a legal in-law suite. Sink, refrigerator, and heating element will be included, sufficient power and safeguards to meet permit requirements, as well as an ensuite bathroom with options for a roll-in shower as well. So we're shifting the language a bit from what we had in the past. We called it an ADU, but we wanted to call it an in-law suite to help clarify what this really was. And I have that showing up in the next 2 slides. So this is a floor plan of just a sample single family floor plan of a 2-story cottage is what we're calling it. So it's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath plan. This is the first floor here in the middle, and on the right is the second floor. So we have the garage, and would be in front. The garage is 2 additional parking. So 2 parking in the garage, 2 parking in front, 4 total. And in the upper left, excuse me, of the first floor plan, we have a primary ground floor bedroom there. And that bedroom we'd be able to convert to an in-law suite there. And on the second, we have the additional bedrooms and area as well. So this next slide highlights what it would look like to utilize that option to legally construct a kitchenette within this ground floor bedroom. So this blue area, so the left image and the middle one are both the same. They're the first floor plan as well, but the left one just kind of shows it with the lot view and the entrance there as well. But what we wanted to highlight is this is not a separate building. It's not a huge change in construction. It's the same footprint, the same floor plan, the same structure, just making a few changes to where the walls are and where the doors are there. So this in-law suite will have its own separate entrance as shown on this left image there as well. So that's an option that we're providing. This next slide, I want to touch upon the Newman Center. This is something that's been there. It's an existing Catholic ministry that targets UH students, faculty, and staff at UH Manoa. And it's really university facing. So in this top left image, you can see the location, and the university is on the left and the top there. So it's really facing the university and meant to target these UH students. So this Newman Center is going to remain on site at its current location. And this is the last slide that I have today before I want to open up for questions, is our estimated project milestones. So we updated this slide a little bit and added some dates, but I wanted to highlight these first 3 bubbles is the PDH process at the top, which is what we're helping with the entitlement, the plan development housing project. So first is our pre-application, where we meet with the DPP as an introductory meeting. We meet with the neighborhood board there as well. And this phase and the second phase, they kind of go hand in hand and simultaneous. So while we're initiating these meetings, we are also starting to prepare our application, our conceptual drawings, plans, our supporting studies, infrastructure, traffic, historic architecture, tree study, all of those studies, where we'll be analyzing our compliance with the plans and policies in place, as well as looking at public and the physical environment, public services and the physical environment as well. We're hoping to submit around the end of the month to the department for review. And this is where it goes to DPP's court. At this time, our application becomes public, and that includes all of our supporting studies there. The city will route it within other city agencies or other agencies to get comments, and that includes fire, wastewater, and all of those other agencies to make sure that we're meeting what we need to for the area. During this review, there's also going to be a public hearing that the city hosts, where you're welcome to come and provide written or verbal testimony there as well. At the far right side of the screen is kind of the next phase. Once we get that, a bunch of things happen in the phase, but essentially once we're through entitlements, we can begin working on our building permits and getting construction started there. So we're hoping to start that in 2025. And this last slide at the bottom, just wanted to say thanks again for allowing me to present. At the bottom, we have our email, info@arielanemanoa.com, our website, arielanemanoa.com again, as well as our Instagram. Before I end, I wanted to mention that I know at the last neighborhood board and many of the community meetings, we heard a lot of concerns about traffic. And that is something that we're aware of, and we're looking into our traffic study. So the first thing we need to do is update our traffic study to reflect the updated design and to incorporate some of the community comments. So that's an ongoing process. Our traffic engineer is working on that updated study too, and we'll use that study to work with the community as well as to work with the city Department of Transportation Services and Traffic Review Branch to address potential traffic impacts resulting from the project there as well. But thank you for allowing me to present, and I'm here as well as some members of the team to answer any questions. Thank you.
Yeah, so we're supposed to.
Thank you very much. So before I open up, I actually have a couple questions myself, and there's one in the chat as well. So first off, you mentioned the traffic study revisions, which I'm really appreciating. But are there plans for ingress and egress besides that single road going towards the former St. Francis site? That's down that steep hill.
No, this was in the mail.
Yeah, thank you for that question, Chair Zane. So our main access to the project site will be off Manoa Road, the existing access point. We are working with UH for an emergency vehicle access at that bottom left corner, I guess, of the project site to connect to UH for emergency vehicles there as well. But the main access will continue to be Manoa Road.
Okay. And you mentioned the zoning for that region as well. Did you have to have a zoning change from where the former St. Francis was located, or you're saying that St. Francis was always zoned in the residential area?
Yes, that's correct. So the lot is zoned R7.5, and if you look at a zoning map, much of the area is zoned R7.5. So what happened was St. Francis, well, some of the early buildings were built before the latest zoning code was in place. But what happened was St. Francis and their more recent buildings, they all had to get conditional use permits, essentially special permits with the city to allow for a use that was different than residential zonings, which was the school, basketball court, gym, and those kind of facilities. But it's always been zoned residential.
Okay, thanks for clarifying on that. And then there's a question in the chat from community member Tom Heimlich. I'll read that aloud for you. Will Aria Lane be reevaluated in consideration of Act 39, 2024 Session Laws of Hawaii, Senate Bill 3202, signed last week by Governor Green and effective upon approval? It may allow for 2 ADUs per parcel under certain qualifications.
Yeah, thank you for that question, Tom. So that bill, I'm glad you brought up that bill, which was recently signed. It does allow the potential for 2 ADUs per parcel there as well. And we are aware of the bill and we're tracking its implications on the project. But thank you.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to open it up first to members of the board. Member Watson.
Thank you. I think that even though the in-law suite is still an ADU, even though it's not a separate building. And so what I'm figuring is that, whoever buys the house, like maybe they got to buy your house for $2 million, then they're going to rent out their ADU or their in-law suite for $1,000 a month to someone else, right? And offset their mortgage or whatever. So, I'm thinking that's 158 families there if there's 2 for each single home, and now you're going to have more of those, 79 of those, and then each one of those is going to have a number of cars, and then so I figured as far as cars go, for the single family homes, that could be 316 cars, and the 14 multifamily whatever units, that'll be another added in, and so that's like 330 cars in your subdivision from and that's only if each home has 1 car. So, I think that traffic and congestion is just going to be a nightmare. And I think, it's really a complex that will house 172 people, 172 families. So that's how I think it is. And your in-law suite is just an ADU that owners will want, and then they'll rent it out, so that's kind of my thought about it. And that's really concerning, in terms of traffic, just in terms of people shopping at Manoa Marketplace. You can't even find any parking there now without anything else, any other ADUs or your complex being built. So, I just have concerns about that. And so I really think, it's going to be 172 families living in there. It's not as crisp and clean as you say. So that's just my feeling. Thank you for listening.
Thank you for that comment, Member Watson there. I just wanted to mention part of our updated traffic study. This is actually exactly what we're going to look into. So we want to make sure that they're accommodating for this in-law suite in their traffic study, and that's what they're working on there too. And you mentioned parking there too, and parking, and that's one of the reasons we want to ensure that we have enough parking on site. 4 stalls per unit, or per unit plus in-law suite, as well as additional guest stalls there. Thank you.
Member Moylan.
Yes, thanks. Slightly different take on the parking issue. There was a presentation recently at the UH School of Architecture by author of a book about paved paradise on how parking requirements have distorted the landscape everywhere. And everyone present seemed to agree with his point that mandated minimum numbers of parking spaces are a big problem. In this case, and it also was shown that the more free parking you provide, the more people will drive. In other words, parking spaces will create traffic, not accommodate traffic that was already going to be there. For a single family unit, there is no reason why every single family unit should have 4 parking spaces. That plan is way overparked and will generate more traffic. 2 per single family unit would be fine, with some small number of guest parking spaces to be shared by everybody. A multi-family unit, 3 parking spaces, that's probably about right. But my suggestion would be a lot of the land that you're currently planning to pave over with asphalt for parking could be used for buildings instead, so that the net cost of the units would be lower. One of the problems they pointed out with mandated minimum parking numbers is that the fraction of a lot that actually has the real building gets to be smaller and smaller. And so in order for the project to pencil out, you have to charge more and more per square foot for what's there, and the rest of it is all paid. The Bible in this subject was UCLA professor Donald Shoup's book, The High Cost of Free Parking. And one of the main points of his book was parking costs money and someone's going to be paying for it, whether it's the driver or whether it's everyone else in the city. It depends on how you plan it. And right now, if all this is free parking, it's everyone else in the city essentially net pays, and the people who live there will pay more for their units than they should. My recommendation would be to back way off on the number of parking spaces for the single family units. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Moylan, for that comment too. We'll take those thoughts into consideration there. I did want to note for the pavement surfaces, we checked with our civil engineer, and actually the final layout will have about 5% more pervious surfaces, so less impervious total to what's currently out there as well. But thank you for that comment. I'll keep that in mind.
Member Lumen.
Hi, this is Member Lumen. My comment tonight has to do with the access on Pamoa Road. I lived on Alaula Way for 2 years when I first moved to Hawaii in 2016. And I would say 100% of the cars, the traffic that comes from Hawaii, from Honolulu up University, takes Alaula. They do not go down to the stoplight and turn right and then turn right again onto Moa. So Alaula is really the primary entrance to your development, not Pamoa. That's my comment.
No, thank you for that comment, Member Lumen.
Member Fox.
Thank you for the time. I have to politely disagree with a former board, with our board member regarding the parking issue and the studies from LA. Having lived in California and being a representative of Long Beach, we have witnessed the problem of lack of parking and its impact upon our communities and our business communities. I encourage this development to keep the parking just the way they've planned it. I'm very impressed by what they've done. If anything, Manoa has a problem with too many people, no parking. We still have so many monster homes here, which are just apartment buildings in the middle of our residential neighborhood. I have one next door to my house. 17 bedrooms, 17 baths, 8 parking spaces. You can imagine the difficulty that it has created for all of Miley Way and Oahu Avenue in the lower Manoa. Parking does not create traffic. That comment has been debunked so many times. If we go to Livable California, which is an organization I'm a member of, we've studied that many times. We have organizations all over Southern California stopping this insanity of, or trying to stop the insanity of road diets, traffic restrictions, no parking, insane bike lanes. We all agree with bike lanes. We all agree that it would be great to have bicycles. At 71, I can assure you, I am not going to get on a bicycle and go to the Manoa marketplace to get groceries. Common sense tells us that this development is being done absolutely beautifully in regards to the parking. I applaud you 100%. Thank you for doing this, thinking about the community, listening to this community, and most of our board members who understand how difficult it is to live on a small island in the middle of the Pacific with no other options. Can we make parking smarter? Absolutely we can. We have all kinds of strategies to do that. Elevated parking, elevator parking, tandem parking, diagonal parking. And I've been involved in that in California for the last 35 years. But I urge you, keep your development the way you've planned it. I'm very impressed by the thought, the consideration, and the compassion that you've put into this plan development. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Fox.
Member Kawano.
Thank you, Chair. I've heard a lot of comments about traffic because Pomoa Road is a single lane road or very narrow road. Would you folks consider changing a design or selling part of the land to the city for them to expand that road into two-way road? I think that will help with the traffic concern that many of the neighbors have.
Yeah, thank you, Member Kawano, for that question. So, like you highlighted, Pomoa Road is a narrow road, about 20 feet there. And regarding widening, that would be something that would likely require using private property. So it would likely require taking some of the property from the neighboring lots to widen that road there. So at this time, we don't have any plans for widening the project.
Great idea.
My question wasn't for the city to take the neighboring property, but for you folks to consider selling part of your property for the city to widen the road. That was my question. I guess I didn't clarify.
Oh, okay. Thank you for that question. We don't own property along Pomoa Road. Our property is kind of at the end of Pomoa Road. So by using our property, we wouldn't get to widen it in, I think, the way that you're looking for.
Okay, thank, maybe I mistaken geography there. Thank you.
Thanks.
Member Fukumoto?
Thank you, Chair. So I just want to float this proposal. I know that you guys have probably heard all kinds of different ideas, but so here's mine. I think that the main problem with this project is the really difficult traffic problem that this narrow road creates. So I wondered if you guys could negotiate with the University of Hawaii to reserve a certain number of units for UH faculty and perhaps even students. And so let's say a quarter of those units would be reserved for UH faculty. If you did that, you could say, well, you know, we need to have an access to the campus and have your primary means of getting into the property go through East-West Center Road. Because you have faculty housing on that property, and you could close off Pamoa Road, and your traffic problems would be solved if that were an outcome. But in any case, I'm just floating the idea here, and I'm just thinking out loud. Thank you.
Thank you for that comment, Member Fukumoto. If Christine or Liana, one of you guys from Avalon could help respond to this question. Thank you.
Thank you for the question and the comments. We are in discussion with University of Hawaii. A lot of the suggestions have already been discussed, and at this time, you know, we can't control the University of Hawaii. We have our needs, and they have their needs, but we are continuing to discuss what might be the best solution that either side can accept. But we appreciate the suggestions. Many of the people who attended our community meetings came with you know, many suggestions for us to follow up, and we are pursuing a lot of those suggestions at this time. So we are not resolved yet, but thank you very much for that comment.
Okay. I do see Member Lumen, you have your hand raised again. After Member
Yes.
Lumen, second question, we'll move on to questions from the community.
Okay, this is Member Lumen. I just wanted to add to my comment about Alaula Way being the primary entrance to the Pamoa Road. And it's also the primary exit. I mean, I lived there for 2 years, and I would say, well, not all of the traffic uses Alaula, or Alaula, but most of it, I would say 90% of it uses it. So improvements need to be made, excuse me, along the speed bumps, because people come around that corner off of a university and they accelerate up to 40, 50 miles an hour by the time they get past the third house. And then you got that steep hill at the end that is extremely dangerous. There's no visibility there. So Pamoa Road is not the primary entrance or egress, regress. Alaula Way is. That's my comment.
Thank you, Member Lumen.
At this point, I'm going to open up to the community.
Chair,
First
this
off,
is Diane Chong. I've been waiting.
oh, I'm sorry, Diane. I didn't see your hand raised. Member Chong, go ahead.
Thank you. About the ADU thing or the grandparents' home thing, why do you insist on having it? Why can't you just make it just for families? Why do you have to encourage another different type of way of having a contained apartment? Why can't you just make it for single families? That way, at least you know that there won't be this car issue of having added cars to the property. don't understand why you have to encourage it. Nowhere in Manoa, we encourage to have ADUs in a complex. We don't have many complex, let's put it that way. So why even encourage it? That's what I kind of keep bringing up. Why are you encouraging it? Thank you.
Thank you, Member Chong, for that question about the ADUs. And I guess there's a few reasons I can talk about. One is, like mentioned, the message in the chat, the recent Senate Bill 3202 that passed did allow up to 2 ADUs per parcel under certain qualifications. And the background for that, there's a lot of research that went into it, but part of the idea was we have a housing crisis on Oahu and throughout the state. And it's something the governor's mentioned, the mayor's mentioned, that one way to work on that crisis and addressing this issue is to allow ADUs on parcels, and that's something that we're looking at as well. The Avalon team, based on community development, they really wanted to create a family environment. I mean, as many of you guys know, like Hawaii is a very multi-generational household kind of place. I mean, we live with our parents, we live with our grandparents. Sometimes great grandparents to great grandkids in the same home there. And this is something based on our demand that we feel strongly about, that allowing this option to convert that primary bedroom to accommodate aging parents who want to live with their children there, and to give them the privacy of having their own entrance, having a separated area as well, as an option there as well. But I appreciate that comment.
I get that, but what I'm saying is you already have a problem with cars driving in and out of that complex. Don't encourage it. That way you won't have that much of an issue of more cars coming in and out. I'm just saying, I understand, yes, that's what the governor wants. The governor doesn't know about this complex going down such a narrow street. And I just wonder, why are you encouraging it? Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's see. I don't see any of the members of the board with their hands raised. Real quickly, in the chat, there were two questions. One of them was addressed by Liana Luke, so regarding the study and if there were any EV or Heiau on the site. And apparently the archaeologists confirmed that there were no EV or Heiau on site and have not identified any of those, but will continue to look into it and comply with all state and SHPD requirements. There's another question as well regarding trying to find that question again. Here we go, the Newman Center, and if you have any knowledge if the agreement with the Newman Center lease is only for 12 years or is it going to be longer?
I can answer that. The lease with the Newman Center is we assume the existing lease, and that will go on till 12 years. But as you know, and you may or may not know, but we do a lot of work with the Roman Diocese. So we will be working with them for their future. So we are in discussions with the Newman Center. One of the reasons why we are doing a PDH instead of a normal subdivision is because the Newman Center is there and we want to accommodate them. So we're in conversations with them related to a more permanent status for them.
Great, thank you. Let's see, open up to the community. Mr. Howard Luke. Mr. Luke. I'm not hearing him at this time. His mic's still muted. In the meantime, we'll go on to Mr. Robert Miho.
Yes, I have a question about the parking. You showed a 2-car garage with a 2-car driveway, but according to the drawings that you provided at the Manoa cafeteria briefing, that's only existing for 12 or 14 cottages against Manoa Stream, and the other 65 or so only have two-car driveways and a walkway which could accommodate a car, but you couldn't put a garage because there's not enough room. Those two cars in the driveway go right up to the house. And the other question is, what does the building code allow in terms of how wide and how wide a driveway you can have to each lot? Thank you.
I can answer the
Oh,
first part of that
okay.
question. Oh, or unless Christine, did you want it, Christine?
Thank you
Oh,
for attending our meetings because it allows us time to meet with you and make sure that you see what we're doing. So I'm glad that you looked at the plans. As you know, at those meetings, I've indicated that I'm listening to people's comments and see the things that we can address. We'll try to address. So our plan that we showed you today is a little bit different from what we've been presenting because we've been gathering comments. We've reduced our density by about 10%, in addition to making our driveways longer to accommodate 2 additional cars. So thank you for that comment.
Okay. Is Mr. Luke still around? I'm not hearing him. There
Oh, I
is
do want to
another.
mention, Chairman Zane, I do
Yes.
want to mention that we've been approaching residents of Pamoa Road. If they've attended our meetings, we've emailed them, as well as trying to go door to door where we are able. I think Mr. Luke is one of the Pamoa Road residents. And so if he needs to speak with us or if we can meet with him to go over his concerns, we can also do that too. We're continuing to do the meetings.
Thank you. I appreciate you bringing that up. I do see a question in the comments over here. Would Avalon consider exchanging the St. Francis property for a comparably sized property elsewhere?
The answer would be no.
And then another question on here. If EV should be uncovered during the development process, what steps will the developer take?
So if the EV is discovered at the site, first of all, if we're doing anything, we'll have cultural monitors with us. But if it is discovered, then we'd obviously be working the whole time, consulting with our archaeologists as well as the State Historic Preservation Department. We've been in consultation with them as recently as even today. And we will follow every direction that they provide, as well as go to the burial council should the Iwi Kapuna be found on the site.
Thank you very much. There was a hand raised briefly by Miss Brenda Lamb. Did you have a comment or was that a technical?
No. Yes, I do have a comment.
Okay, please go ahead.
Okay. I fully support this project. I think the Avalon is a good developer. I think that we need this kind of housing in Manoa. I think the additional dwelling units is actually a benefit. Personally, my son had to buy somewhere else and he wanted to build an ADU so that he could help pay his mortgage. And this helps families, young professionals who can quite almost afford their mortgages, but not quite. And, you know, I've lived in Manoa. I've been a resident here forever. My road has changed. I've seen change all around me. And I, for one, fully support this project. I know I'm going to get bullets from all of my friends who are against this project, but I just really wanted to voice my support for this project because I think it's good for Manoa. That's my comment. Thank you.
Thank you, Brenda, for your comments. Jan Mitchell.
Thanks, Chairman Zane. I have 2 questions actually that have to do with the ADUs. I think the first question I have is, my understanding is that the land use ordinance does not allow ADUs at all. in PDH housing. So I don't know whether SB 3202 changes that, and it won't change it right now. I don't know if it will change it by the time this development gets built, because the city has 2 years to change their building code. But that's kind of my question: is how is it that you have, higher density development anyway, using PDH instead of single family homes? And then on top of that, you are adding in ADUs when the land use ordinance says ADUs aren't allowed in PDH housing. And then my second question is, although I do think in many ways it's a beautiful development, I also have a question about the PUCDP, because the PUCDP says that in valleys and ridge neighborhoods, that increased density development is inappropriate. And one of the in the actual PUCDP, the place that they put as the example of a ridge or valley for which additional density is not appropriate is Manoa. So I'm just wondering how that squares with the development, and more particularly with the plan to have what are effectively ADUs, whether you call it an ADU or not. And then the last thing is, sorry, I have 3. The third thing is SB 3202 removes the requirement of having the owner of the property live on site. So if you do go through with these ADUs, would you have a restrictive covenant that requires that anybody who buys there and puts in one of these ADUs actually lives on site? Because I think that is a big difference for somebody who lives in the valley, who lives in the neighborhood, who can kind of keep an eye on what's going on, and it's going to be affected by the presence of the ADU and by the presence of the additional renters. It would be very different if it's a foreign or mainland investor who buys one of your units and then rents it out to basically as many people as can fit. I think that would also make people feel better if it's possible to have some sort of restrictive covenant. Thanks.
Isaiah, you want me to take that?
Yeah, let me start, Christine, and then maybe you can jump in. But I just wanted to start with the ADUs, Ms. Mitchell. So thank you for bringing up that point. And that's actually one of the reasons we're considering this 2 units instead of 1 unit. And one of the reasons we're looking back at our traffic study. So we want to look at it as if they were separate units for our studies, as well as for our affordable housing requirements and our other requirements. It is an ADU, but we're looking at it as 2 units, the kind of the worst case scenario when we do our studies there. And regarding the PUCDP, the Primary Urban Center Development Plan, you're right about what it says, but the PUCDP is I guess it's kind of like a higher level plan. So it's state plan, general plan, and then you have the PUCDP that has this general language that covers the full primary urban center. But what happens is the zoning is kind of the next level of specificity that based on the PUCDP, and other factors as well. So it did use Manoa as an example, but like I mentioned earlier, this is zoned for residential, and it's been zoned for residential. So that's what's in the zoning and would take the lead, I guess, there. And Christine, if you had anything to add.
Thank you. So I think he addresses 2 questions. Then I will answer the third question related to restrictive covenants. When you live in a single family subdivision like Manoa, you don't have an association which governs or dictates. Your only recourse is to go to the city and complain to DPP. In a project like ours, where we have an association, there's a board of directors and basically house rules that govern how people should conduct. So while we are not going to put a placement of requiring that you live there, except for the 50% that we'll be selling to owner occupants and the 100% of the affordable units that we'll be selling to owner occupants. We believe that when we build housing, there should be opportunities for those who can't buy housing in a community to be able to rent. And that if we are able to build housing and it is only restricted to owner occupants, those renters would not have the opportunities to rent there should they need to live there. Maybe their kids going to that school, or they're going to the university. So we won't be putting that kind of restriction. But I think the runaway rentals where you're having like a hotel-like setting or short-term rentals, I can tell you that we manage 1,100 units, and we manage a lot of condominium associations. The board of directors have a full say on what they should do, and they can amend rules as they go to ensure that it's a quality place for living. So there's more controls, restrictions, if you will, as it relates to behavior of those occupants and owners. So I hope that answers your question, but we will be addressing that.
I'm sorry, just to clarify, I wasn't saying that no one can buy there and not live there. It was really, it's that if they're going to rent the ADU out, that they actually be an occupant there. But I get what you're saying.
I think the short-term rental, the idea of having short-term rentals or things of that nature will definitely be one that the rules will provide those types of restrictions. I think that because it's close to the university, we may have some exclusions for the visiting professors or teachers or nurses or some healthcare workers or that type of thing as an exclusion. But just like any residential community, there should be some restrictions as to what kind of tenancy that they should have, and that is something that we always work on in our communities.
You're unmuted. Thank you.
Okay, next, Mr. Alan Lau.
Hi, thank you for allowing me to voice my concerns. I live right at the corner of Manoa Road and Alaula, and I totally agree with what Mr. Clyde Lumen has said, that Alaula needs to definitely be considered in terms of the traffic. And I'm only one voice, but when I bought the property, this woman saw me surveying the property, and she lived right across that property. She says, "You bought this property?" Every time car come down the hill and bang the house. And I thought, oh, okay, great, but sure enough, there's been 3 episodes when the cars had come down the hill. One crashed right into my house, another crashed into the telephone next to my house, and the other one crashed into the wall, and that wall stopped it from going into our neighbor's house. So I'm only one person, but I'm just really opposed to this development because I'm just afraid that there's just going to be too much traffic, and it just takes one person to do that, I'm only one person, but I hope you guys see it at least can empathize with me.
Thank you for that comment, Alan.
It's a steep hill over on that area. So I appreciate your comments for that, Alan. Paul. Paul?
Yeah, sorry. This is similar to Mr. Lau there. I'm wondering, is there a point in the process where the DPP either has a city traffic division or to that you guys commission? Because from what I saw at your meetings, you really only presented estimated numbers of cars coming up and down Manoa Road, which looked completely unreasonable to me to begin with. But the larger point is that I didn't see any kind of consideration of how the increased traffic would influence or affect the 2 choke points at the corner of Alaula and Manoa, and also at Alaula and University. So I can foresee that the increased traffic is going to back up University all the way back to Miley Way. It's going to affect everybody coming into the valley that comes up University. So I'm just wondering, at what point is your guys' traffic assessment verified by someone without a conflict of interest?
Thank you, Paul, for that comment. So our traffic study, I think what we showed in the last time was trip generation or numbers that we anticipated generated from our project. So that's not the existing generation, that's just the additional with ours. Our traffic study, they also look at the nearby intersections and see how they're functioning, how long the wait times are there, how many people come to the intersections as well. Like you mentioned, our traffic study as well as the full application will go to the DPP first, and they'll share it, of course, within DPP at the traffic review branch, as well as at the sister agency, Department of Transportation Services, where they look at our study there and will recommend changes or revisions to the project site and the surrounding streets if necessary. So that is part of the review process. No third party going out studying it, but they are reviewing ours closely as well.
Thank you. Mr. Howard Luke.
Oh, please.
Yes, we can hear you now.
My deepest apologies. I don't have a microphone working on my desktop. I was very surprised. So I'm using my phone, and I don't know which camera you can see, but my points are. I hope you can hear me. I want to thank everyone who spoke on behalf of the Manoa Neighborhood Board. Also, I'm glad that Mr. Sato is here and Christine Camp. There's so many things I have that I want to talk about, but I'm going to limit it because I know we're running deep into time on this one subject, and that has to do with the parking. I live the second house away from the entrance to St. Francis School. I've been on the board of St. Francis for a number of years. I left before it became co-educational. I will tell you this, in the morning and the afternoon hours, it was very, very congested for a period of about an hour, perhaps, in the morning when children were being dropped off at the school, and then another hour, perhaps an hour and a half in the evening. The rest of the time, you didn't have the traffic flow that I would anticipate would occur current plan for Aria Lane. So that's a big change. The second part is that I used to run in the mornings and come up Miley Way, and it'd be a huge stream of cars coming out of the St. Francis campus. Those cars were allowed by the university to use Miley Way. My understanding now from speaking to officials at the university is that they're not going to allow Aria Lane to have either access or egress from the campus, or from the residential area onto Miley Way. So those two factors are huge. And, Isaiah, I hope when you do the traffic study and you modify it, if they have any questions, they can call me and I'd be happy to discuss with them those differences that I think are very material to what is being currently planned. The other things that I would like to say is that, I looked at and I understand this isn't very scientific. I look at the city and county tax listings, and on Pamoa Road, the entirety of Pamoa Road, from the entrance to St. Francis campus, Aria Lane campus, to the intersection of Alaua, has had 37 houses, 37. If you make a right turn on Pamoa to get to, the Woodlawn area, there were an additional 9 that were listed. Now, if nobody's paying taxes, perhaps there's another house or 2 there, but that's a total of 46 houses, which is a really far cry from the total of, 102 or 93 currently houses being planned in Aria Lane. And, I don't begrudge the plans to build residences, but it just will not work on Pamoa Road. I'm sorry, it just won't. This is anecdotally, but it's based on my experience. Like today, I drove, and this would be about 9:30 in the morning, and there were a number of people, university students, walking in the middle of the road or off the road. There are no sidewalks on either side of Pamoa Road. And there were bicyclists, and you have to weave in and out of traffic. In other words, you have to stop your car if you're heading in the easterly direction to allow cars to pass who are heading in the westerly direction. So it takes some time, even in the current situation, to get to and from your residence or to Aria Lane or the proposed Aria Lane. It is something that I think really has to be understood. What's being represented in the traffic study, I think, is okay, I'll use the word. It is disingenuous, in my opinion, and I don't think that they're taking into account the former conditions of what occurred on the road that no longer exists. And even now, with a few houses, we really have a lot of trouble driving and getting to our homes and whatnot. So I just want to add that I have a lot of other things, including an 82-page study that I looked at, conducted by the Sisters of St. Francis before they sold the property, or they put it up for sale. But I don't believe that there's time enough for me to talk about that. So Chairman Zane, I appreciate your hearing me out. I appreciate everyone who spoke on behalf of members of the board, as well as on behalf of Aria Lane. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much for your comments, Mr. Luke.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Luke.
Member Nagaji.
Thank you, Chair Zane. I had a quick question for Isaiah Sato and also Christina Camp, and possibly a follow-up with Elmer, depending what they say. But I realize things haven't been finalized yet, but I wanted to ask Isaiah and Christine, would they prefer at this time that UH allow people to use their road for ingress and egress of the proposed development?
We have reached out to our initial request before all of the community meetings was to allow us emergency access, which we have confirmation from the university members, the same people that Mr. Luke and another member of the community had met with. So they responded back with the emergency access. We have to work through the details and the agreements, but at least it's a confirmation that they are willing to work with us. As it relates to, we've now, since that confirmation, we've asked them if we could look at an exit only in the mornings out of our property. They are not, they needed to get back to their committee. There's no confirmation to that yet. We're continuing to work with them with the opportunity. The other options are similar to what other community members along Pamoa and Street has indicated. Yes, when their school was inactive, right, when the school was running, it was approved for 499 students, a 200-seat capacity gymnasium, and a active swim school is continuing to operate there, and they have hundreds of kids who come in throughout the weekend and in the evenings. The gymnasium was previously used for basketball clinics, volleyball clinics, and various things where significant number of kids would come and go during the weekends and after hours. So we're obviously looking at comparison of what it means to have residences versus traffic for activities that are coming through the property. But we are looking at those options. As we indicated when we said that we're updating our traffic report. When someone had mentioned about the ADU being separate, we have commissioned a new study. However, they're waiting for us to finalize our plan. They're waiting for us to seek confirmation related to our discussions with the University of Hawaii, as well as the Department of Transportation Services, as well as DPP's Traffic Review Branch. So we are in consultations with them to come back with what is possible, what's viable, what other opportunities there are. I do recall, and it was reminded to me, related from people who went to school there, who lived there as we were going door to door, that during the morning sessions, that there were no parking on both sides of the road when the school had active traffic, and in the afternoons they did have no parking on both sides of the road during the most active peak periods. It may be something that we might like to propose, but it is not up to us. This is not that something that we can do. Someone was asking us, will you be paving the roads? That is not up to us. These are public streets and private properties. So all we can do is to look at the, commission the study, have it reviewed by the agencies, speak to, those that can provide some options, and then come back with a solution that might be, comparable to having a school or the impacts of that school or better is what we're looking for.
Thanks. And just to clarify, is there any particular reason why you're requesting the ability to use UH's road for exit but not entry as well?
We don't think that they would agree to that. In fact, the preliminary discussions were that we don't think that's something that they could agree to. I mean, the UH has their own traffic issues, and I think MidPAC use of their roadways, there's some concern that it might, affect their traffic patterns. But we are working on it. We're working on our traffic studies. As I said, we're continuing to discuss it. So these are yet to be confirmed, yet to be finalized. But we are working through it. And whatever we do propose, we will be working through the agencies to make sure that they believe that there's safety and provisions made for the project.
All right. Thank you, Christine. And that was all I had, Chair.
Thank you very much. I see that we have 3 hands raised left. Due to the fact that we have other items on the agenda as well. Now Member Chong has also raised her hand as well, or maybe not. I'm not sure. It just went down again. But anyway, after those comments, we're going to close discussion on this because we have other items on the agenda. So first off, Member Fukumoto.
Thank you, Chair. I'd like to follow up on Member Nagaji's questions, which to some extent were brought about by Mr. Luke's information. So I had a relative who lived on Pamoa Road, and it didn't seem to me the traffic was too bad. And I realized that at the time there was a school there, but it didn't seem to me the traffic was too bad. So Mr. Luke explains a lot of the mystery behind the lack of traffic, which is that during the morning hours, parents dropping off their kids in the morning could exit through the University of Hawaii. And, there are differences in the parking allowed and so forth, and also buses. I've heard some things like that. So I think that one of the reasons why a project like this is brought before the neighborhood board is that board members can offer some suggestions. And my suggestion is that the university may not want to open up their property to traffic from this development, but you members who live on Pamoa Road, if the traffic is going to be bad, it's up to you to talk to the university administration. So there's the university administration, there's the Board of Regents. You could contact members of the Board of Regents. If you're not satisfied, right now you can talk to members of the state legislature. As we know, members of the state legislature, particularly in the Senate, have a record of telling the UH what they want. And it's usually worked because if the UH wants funding, they have to listen to these certain people. So the UH is a public institution. Just because they say they want something and they're not going to negotiate doesn't mean that's the final answer. And this neighborhood board is a public forum, and you can use your political influence, which you have a lot of because you live on Pamoa Road, and people understand that you're going to be vitally affected. As a matter of fact, your lives are going to be, I suppose, really substantially negatively affected if this project goes through, unless there is a way of providing access through the UH campus. And I think that's going to be possible if you know how to put on political pressure. Thank you.
Thank you for those comments. Paul?
Hi, you guys. Thanks for getting to me. This is Stephanie Murray Joe. My sound wasn't working on my other computer, so I thank you guys for having this meeting, and I just want to support express my concern living on Hawaii that when we talk about traffic, we're also talking about emergency vehicles. So I have some health conditions and we've had to have ambulances come for me. And it takes a delay for these ambulances to turn around and get to our residents here. And so when we talk about traffic, I hope people would consider the health and safety of the people that live on this road. And also, I'm sorry, what I meant to say is I support Elton's idea as well that perhaps, you know, when Avalon or other people go into negotiation with UH, what's nice is for there to be a fair exchange of services. So maybe UH would like a substantial number of parking spots, something that would be equivalent, and it could benefit the community, the Aria Lane community as well, to have goodwill between, you know, Aria Lane and UH, but they need to be offered something substantial that's as good as, you know, the road, and that would help us residents, you know, have better access to these emergency vehicles and be safer, you know, in our homes. So that's all I have to say about that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Let's see, Member Chong.
This question is to Mr. Luke. That entrance, I mean, when they were driving out of Miley Way, were they coming out of that religious, that building, and then they were going towards the medical building, and then they went up the street to Miley Way? Is that how they got out? When
May I
St.
answer?
Francis was?
I have the
Yeah.
answer. Can I answer the question?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry, and Chairperson Zane, I'll try to be as quick as possible. And I don't mean to hold up the agenda. The traffic would stream in from the university. They would turn right to get to the campus. I'm not sure who they were, but I know for certain. I don't remember any cars entering St. Francis School from the Miley Way access point. But there were a number of cars exiting only. Once they left the St. Francis campus and reached Miley Way, there's an intersection between East West Center Road and Miley Way. The cars who were, you know, presumably parents of the students could either go west on Miley Way or turn Mackay or south on East West Center Road. One more point, and this is really important. I spoke to the university. I had a meeting with David Lassner and others, and I was told they're not going to do this. They're not going to allow access. I don't know if their opinions would change, but Elton, they're not going to allow access because of the liability that's presented. If one of the cars from the private residential property hit some student or, you know, bicyclist, it's bad enough in the morning, then, you know, the university would be liable as well. So I don't know. I don't have all the answers, but I do know that there was a large amount of cars that were exiting the St. Francis property onto Miley Way. And also, you know, there was not a lot, but there were a few school buses. So it's not like individual cars. Sometimes there were school buses. It was heavily congested at the times that that school was either, you know, about to begin or when it was no longer in session. I hope, does that answer your question?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I have one last comment. Okay, so I used to teach at Mid-Pac, so I know that Mid-Pac students, the parents do, some of them, I guess the ones that drop off kids at the lower school, they come out of UH. And so, and as the person who talked to before me, Paul, I know it's not Paul, but that's what I see on the screen. Yes, when MidPac made an exit to UH and they go out through Miley Way, they gave them something like 10, 15 parking spaces that they got in return for letting MidPac exit through Miley Way. I'm just letting you know. Thank you.
You know, the exit from Mid-Pac to the university is a very, very short distance. There's a chain link fence that opens by the baseball field, and that's where the cars who chose to exit through the Miley Way
right
to university. Yeah, it's very short. It's not like all the way back to the
right.
St. Francis campus.
But the other thing is there's a guard there to make sure they go up Miley Way. They can't go any other way.
Mr. Luke, did you have any other comments, or did you?
Yeah, I do, but you know, it would take so long that I think I'll just save them for now because they go into different issues. But I think the primary thing for tonight was addressing the parking issues, and I appreciate the time given to me and my fumbling with my audio. Sorry, it's a generational thing, you know. So you know, so I got my son and younger people to fix things with the phone. So thank you very much for hearing me out. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Whitney will be the last one on this particular matter.
Thank you, Chair. Howard, would you consider sharing that document that you referenced with the neighborhood board members so that we can peruse that? It sounds very interesting. So that would be appreciated. And then, Ms. Camp, I wanted to just clarify something from Ms. Mitchell asked a question that you answered, and I just wanted to double check. So you're saying that you guys would not put any requirements in, you just sort of assume the association might keep people in check as far as not allowing outside investors to rent out their ADU units. Is that something that you would not be allowed to do for some reason, or just something that you would?
So right now, one of the things that we always look at is that we have, you know, short-term rental restrictions in the projects that we build. We also make sure that we allow owner occupants to purchase the properties first.
Right, but that's
But if right,
okay.
And then you know, we wouldn't have any restrictions on investors buying the property if there are any units available, right? So I think what I had understood was the question related to whether the properties would be sold to only owner occupants. And what I'm saying is that we would prioritize the owner. And then as it relates to renting the ADUs, the restrictions that we would have on the ADUs would be related to duration, noise, you know, where they park, their behavior.
Okay, sure. Isn't it true that a lot of what was built in Kaka'ako was deemed to be for locals and was at first offered to locals, and very little was actually bought up by locals, and a lot of that both sits empty now and also was bought by outside investors and is now, you know, being rented out? Is that not true?
It could be. You know, I'm not involved in any of the Kaka'ako projects, but I can tell you that during the meetings that we've had overwhelming response. The people who sat through those meetings, they all, you know, signed up and asked us for marketing information. They were all residents. And some of them I've had a chance to talk to them after, before, or follow up. And they're all residents. They're all trying to sell their own home so they can live with their grown-up kids and help raise their children. So,
and they
if anecdotally, right? Anecdotally, from what marketing yet, anecdotally, what I believe is that based on the 100 somewhat people who have approached us since these meetings, is that there is a demand. And in fact, a lot of them are Manoa residents.
Sure. One question, because I had some technical difficulties earlier and I missed your presentation. Have the cost of the units been finalized a bit more, or were all these info sessions where people were interested before they actually know a
Right.
more solid ballpark of what these units are actually going to cost?
Yes, it's really going to be depending on how many units we actually can deliver.
Okay.
Density results in pricing adjustments. So
Sure.
we've right now reduced our density by about 10%. So there will be additional, cost adjustments related to this project. So we haven't finalized it yet.
Okay. I would just say, as far as I know, there was a lot of interest in Kakako, a lot of support before that got built, a lot of reasons why that was championed before all of the development went in there, and then not that much by locals,
Right.
despite sort of. So
Yeah.
just some-
I think it's a different thing because Kakako, where it's near the ocean, the shopping centers, and it's more of a very close proximity to Waikiki. When
Sure,
you're talking about
about
Manoa, the draw is the schools, the residential characteristics, the stable community. It's generally the people that we were targeting for designing for these homes were people who are returning to Manoa to be near their family.
Sure. I guess that's a little different, though, if people have the option to be picky in that way versus the argument that we've been making that there's just this absolute need for housing throughout the state. And that.
And we hope that the multifamily units will also provide, first-time home options in Manoa.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Chair Zane, I just wanted to quickly end. I know you're trying to wrap this up. I just wanted to share this last slide again. So if you guys have any more questions, you guys can email us at info@rlanemanoa.com. We have our website there as well, and we'd be happy to continue discussions. I know you guys are tight on time today, but we'd be happy to continue these discussions.
Thank you for
Yes,
doing that. I
and
was about to
yeah.
ask that actually.
Especially for Pamoa residents and Hipawai residents, I highly encourage you to reach out to us. We are doing one-on-one sessions, and some people want to have group sessions. It's really, we're trying to solve, if there are opportunities where we can address those issues, we want to try to address them. So please reach out to us, or we'll be reaching out to you shortly. Thank you.
Thank you. And if you could also put your email address and any of the contact information you'd like to share with the community into the chat as well, so that way we can look it up while, after the presentation. Your slide's now gone. Thank you very much for your time. We really appreciate your comments on this, and hope you may be called upon in the future to see if you can also join us if there's more questions for the community would like to ask regarding the St. Francis project in the future. So I hope that you'll be available to us as a resource moving forward on this process.
Mahalo, Chair Zane. Mahalo, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on, next on the agenda, we have the Department of Planning and Permitting Temporary Emergency Management Services based at University of Hawaii.
Hi, Chair, it's Elmer.
Hi, Elmer.
Let me do the presentation. I need access to share my document. Can So let me kind of share what I'm going to be talking about. The University of Hawaii is working with the Department of for the City and County Emergency Management Service to put a temporary EMS site on the campus. This will be located on the lower campus. Hold on, let me try to see if I can get it on again. No, not yet. Thank you. Okay, let's see if we can do it now. Nope.
Okay, we can see
You
your
can see
screen
it?
now. Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. So, I have on this call Ian Stanty from the city to also help me go through this temporary proposed EMS station on the lower campus. Let me go next one. Sorry. Okay. So right now, what we have going on is that the University of Hawaii is working with the Honolulu Emergency Systems Department and planning to enter in a memorandum of an agreement to put an EMS unit on lower campus to help reach out to and better serve the community here. And part of this is to kind of make sure that they have a better access to the campus and as well as to the community. This EMS unit will have a site on lower campus to let me make sure I can make it work. Next one. To at least provide our neighboring communities, both Manoa, Makali, Wailai, Makiki, with better service. This MOU between the University of Hawaii and the city will be like a 5-year temporary project. And it'll be offered, it'll be a unit that'll be stationed 24-hour access at 7 days a week. It'll be at the lower campus, right next to the Les Morikami Stadium. And this particular building is actually not used for anything particularly, so they will be using this access. Now, the reason we try to make sure we can present this to you is to give you guys a heads up of what's happening, what's going to happen shortly. We do have an agreement ready to get going, and we wanted to make sure that we can better serve the community and give everybody access towards that. So part of this agreement also is to make sure there might be concerns regarding noise, because 21st hour service sometimes will impact the community, and we wanted to make sure that you guys are aware that there is a EMS unit close to us, so that you guys can have access to as well. The EMS also will be there to provide services for our bigger events. We do have a lot of events on campus that you guys have recently noticed. So we do want to make sure that we have better access to not only us, but to you. We think it's a great opportunity for this because we're centralized. The nearest unit, honestly, is not, it's closer to Kalihi, and even further. But I just want to kind of share that, give you a very short idea of what's happening with our campus and make this available for at least you guys' knowledge. And simply, Chair, that's all I have regarding the presentation. And I can answer any questions, or Ian and I can answer questions.
Thank you, Elmer. Member Kawano.
Thank you, Chair. Hi, Elma.
Hi.
Thank you for your presentation. I have a bunch of questions.
Sure.
So an EMS station, is it like the EMS like at the fire station type? Or is that going to be like a clinic setting where people can walk up there? Or is this going to be where if someone called 911, they needed EMS, they would just dispatch from there? That's one of my first question. Number two, I guess they're going to be using Kalele Road exit to Wailai Road. Would they be blasting the siren when they leave?
Those are great questions, Patty.
Just these two right off my head, if you can.
Yeah. No, then that's absolutely what we've been talking about too. is making sure we are aware and our community know what's going on. Now, right now, Kalele Road, it is closed during non-open period. So you cannot enter or exit when the campus is closed. We're not sure yet if they will have access going out to Kalele Road to the freeway. It makes sense because that's a fast road out. The only entrance in so far is Manoa, not Manoa, is Lower Campus Road, and you go into Dole. But that's a good question, and I will ask the city regarding that. The site itself is really be a temporary station for where they are meeting, and so that they can rest. The EMS goes to different stations, so this is an opportunity for them to come if they're need someplace to relax. So far, they can come to our area. Also, what we can also do is they will also offer training if necessary at that site regarding any kind of emergency training of that sort, because they're experts in that field, in that particular area. That kind of components, we're still working with them, and I wonder if Ian is on and he can kind of share.
Hi, Elmer. I apologize. I am on, and
Yeah.
I'm having some video probably difficulties, but I am on. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes, we can hear you.
And my name is Ian Santi. I am the Deputy Director of the Honolulu Emergency Services Department, our EMS Emergency Medical Services Division, which is under our department. We are collaboratively with the University of Hawaii to add this station to the Manoa area to service the university, as well as the Manoa University area type of emergency response that we have up there. We are open to doing a lot of training and improving the response staff of the university, as well as supporting the ongoing efforts. And I'm not sure, I got on a little late, I apologize. And I'm just gonna point out, the closest response for an ambulance to the University Manoa area comes from the Waikiki Fire Station, or it comes from street. Those would be the two closest. Then there's the Queens Hospital, the Kuakini Hospital, and then you would go all the way out to the airport or all the way out to the Wailupe area. So those ambulances comprise our urban core, and those ambulances are very busy. They run about 6,000 to 7,000 calls a year, which comes out to about a call an hour. So what we're doing is, by adding this service during our peak hours of service in the community, it helps mitigate some of those calls, but also provide resources to the university area as also. Open questions. That's my real brief summary. And again, I apologize for jumping on in the middle.
Ian, there was a question from member Kawano regarding using access for Kalele. That's the road that goes out to the Wailai freeway. Have any discussion been made with us regarding using that exit, or just going through Dole Street?
No, so what we're trying to work on is, we're going to follow the rules of the university, which is whenever the available, we're going to use our ingress and egress through the access through the Wailai side, as well as the east side, as well as the Dole Street. The one good factor, and I think you guys all know this, the factor is, if we're coming out of Dole Street and coming down University, it actually allows our EMS agents, our EMS personnel, to respond both east and westbound onto the freeway. So that is this point is actually putting us at a better centralized location. Right now is located, again, the Kemoku and Young ambulance, where it's located during Monday through Friday rush hour traffic. They no longer can access the PE Koi on ramp because that's closed from 3 to 6. So the accessibility that you guys that the university does present, it does allow us to actually have quicker responses to the east and the westbound through the freeway.
Okay.
I hope that, and yeah, and then any other accesses, we will use it based on what's there. But it was discussed that we do understand that there's certain hours, but we know that the Dole Street one is a 24-hour one.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Ian, for the information. So it's not just for training and resting. It's actually a live EMS station where
Oh,
they would be dispatched out of there, right?
yes,
Is
yes,
that
yes.
correct?
But part
Okay.
of the part of the MOA is for us to some of the training opportunity, the public safety staff and other staff at the university, and we do that with our community and our other government agencies already. But because we're being allowed the opportunity to be based out of the university, we wanted to make sure that everybody, the community, and everybody else does gain from that benefit.
So when you do dispatch, I'll say after 10 p.m., between 10 p.m. and I don't know, 6 a.m. in the morning, when do you stop your, do you have your siren on? Because there's a lot of houses around Dole,
Correct.
Varsity side and by Wailai Kalele Road. What is your protocol on that?
No problem. So that's a great question. And the EMS unit that's what we're working that will be stationed at the University of Hawaii will actually operate between noon to midnight only for now, and we do look at expanding our 24-hour. But right now it's going to be from noon to midnight, and the reason again for that was our peak hours of service, when the call volume, the residents and visitors of Oahu need the EMS services are mainly between about in the morning about 10 at night. So that allows us to cover the peaks of services. And what we've done is we presented to other neighborhood boards in the community as other locations when we do have EMS units located in very close proximity of residential areas. We on lights as we respond out of the area that we're located. And then when we're on the main road, we would turn on the siren. Now, again, there is a law that was passed recent in the legislature that allows us not to use the sirens. And there's a law that was previously made that you are supposed to be using the lights and sirens in conjunction. We use them at our discretion, and I know that's kind of difficult for sometimes when people hear that is, but we use it at our discretion because again, coming down a roadway that's very dark, we don't know if there's a person trying to cross the street or running across the street or just on the side of the road. So we do use it at the discretion. When we try to in the wee hours of the morning, we do try to be very observant of our surroundings. And for the most part, the lights do help, especially at night. Like lights don't work in the daytime. The sirens work in the daytime. And when we get to the night, everybody sees the lights and not necessarily the sirens. But sometimes there are individuals that can't, for whatever reason, don't see the lights. So we do try to get out of the residential area until we get to a main road and use a siren. I hope that answered the question.
Okay, my last question. So you said it's only up till midnight, your operation?
For this location. Yeah, correct.
Okay,
For this
and
location.
so nobody would be there at midnight. It's like it closes at midnight. Is that correct?
Correct. So we've had EMS units at the Kimoku and we actually have 2 ambulances, and they used to be 12-hour ambulances, and then they turned in, well, actually, they used to be 8-hour ambulances that turned into 16-hour ambulances that went back to a 12-hour ambulance, and now we actually have 2 24-hour ambulances there. So what we do is based on our funding from the city and a staffing model, we try to expand our services to 24 hours to always offer the 24-hour care. But however, again, based on our numbers and the data, it shows that our peak hours, our call volume is really peaking at between the 11 a.m. to the 10 p.m. model. So that's where we want to add the resources on that shift to address the busyness of the community at that point in time. And that way we allocate the right resources to the right place.
Okay, thank you. Next we have Member Fukumoto. Elton?
Yes, thank you, Chair. It took me a while to unmute. I'm following up on Member Kawano's comment. I would assume that the purpose of having a station here is really twofold. Number one, the EMS station could actually serve members of the public who are attending athletic events in the quarry. And number two, I think the other primary area is really Manoa Valley. And so I don't see the need to use the freeway that often because there are other locations, Queens Hospital or Kapiolani Medical Center, whatever it's called. So I don't think the freeway use is really crucial, but I do think it's really important to have a 24-hour service. I think eventually you will have a 24-hour service, but it's really crucial because there are a lot of elderly people who live in Manoa. My dad died in 2020. I called the ambulance about 5 or 6 times, usually at night when he would slip into a coma. I realized that he was in imminent danger of death, so I called an ambulance. So I think a 24-hour ambulance in Manoa is crucial because of the demographics. And so, yeah, it's you can hear those sirens late at night, but at certain times it's crucial to have those. Thank you, Chair. That's my comment.
Thank you. Let's see. Members of the community, do you have any comments or questions? I am not hearing or
David
seeing.
has his hands up.
Oh, I'm sorry. David, go ahead. David? David, hello?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, I'm having the same video connection problems. Ian, how many units of vehicles we anticipate to have at the start? One, and then what would it rise to? Two or more?
So, no, good question. So, one of our ambulances currently, we have what's called an advanced life support ambulance, which is always one paramedic and one EMT. Right now, currently in the west side of the island, we run what's called a quick response vehicle, which is a solo paramedic by themselves. And then we also have in the Kalihi area, we have what's called a basic life support, which is 2 EMTs. Now, those are kind of not big fancy words for advanced care or basic life support care. And pretty much what we're intention is to do is we've discussed it with the university that we would actually have 2 vehicles, no more than 2 vehicles coming out of there. One is a rapid response vehicle in an SUV and one is an ambulance. Again, it's because of the service of the patients that's required. Again, having a solo paramedic that can respond to the scene to work in conjunction with the basic life support ambulance, or the basic life support ambulance able to transport the patient by themselves. The primary difference between the two is without the paramedic, the basic life support transports those individuals that don't get an IV, that don't need any type of medication intervention. Our paramedics are able to start IVs, put in breathing tubes, provide a lot of different medications. So that's the primary difference. Our intention is to again have 1 SUV and 1 ambulance on the property at University of Hawaii Manoa.
Okay, thank you.
Member Watson.
Nice your dog, Robert. Let's see the whole dog. Lift up the dog. Cute, yeah? Anyway, my question is, I agree with Elton. I think we need a 24-hour operation, not a 12-hour operation of emergency management for Manoa and for university and for the public. I think that is needed. Thank you.
Do we have any other comments or questions from the community regarding this? Not seeing any pop up. Elmer, Ian, thank you very much.
Thank you.
While you're on, Elmer, do you have anything else to report for University of Hawaii?
Actually, just one short one. As you know, the Festpac is here. We are actually hosting, oh, not hosting. A lot of the attendees are staying in our housing complex. And you probably see a lot of buses on Doe Street. These are our brothers and sister Pacific Islanders that are here. It's a very special place right now because they are practicing their arts, their crafts here, and then and being involved. As you guys all saw, we did also have a whole bunch of graduations, so we need to still work with our community members regarding traffic and signage. So, but Chair, I'll save everything for July. I'll have a better report on that and so that you guys can move on to you guys the next agenda.
Okay, but in the meantime, though, since well, it's that way we can knock off your agenda item later on. In the meantime, first off, are there any events going on at University of Hawaii regarding Festpac? I know there's some kind of ceremony that's taking place tomorrow at Stan
Tomorrow,
Sheriff.
yes, tomorrow we have the opening ceremony. We're hosting the opening ceremonies. It's from 4 to 8 o'clock. It is almost like the Olympics where all of our Pacific Islanders will come in and walk in and circle the ground floor of the center. It's open to the public. You know, all you need to do is go online and get a ticket, but it's open to the public. Please, if you're free to come. There is not going to be too much traffic because everybody's bussed in. They're traveling in. A lot of the hosts and attendees are either on campus or in surrounding areas. So the only traffic will be the people who are interested in finding out what's going on. Outside of that, we do not have most of our events for lower campuses has been kind of on a summer break, as we may say.
So there's no other public events for Festpac other than the ceremony tomorrow.
Yes, everything is at throughout the whole state, but Manoa is done with ours right after the ceremony.
Okay, Member Chong.
This is a comment, Elmer. Thank you for making the sign for Punahou graduation. Thank you making the sign for the Festival of Civic. So then we knew exactly when the traffic will be done. That's what we needed for the graduation. Instead of just saying from here to here, when is the graduation? If you can tell us specifically what day, that helps us. Thank you.
Welcome. Yeah, and we kind of remembered every time we talked about district football, how to get our message out sooner and even further out. Yeah, so we're working on the further out part as well.
If we have the dates, that's the best way.
Yeah, awesome.
Member Watson.
Hi, Elmer. I just want to say, what tomorrow is going to be the opening, whatever, at the Stan Sheriff Center, right at 4 o'clock?
Opening protocol.
And then the rest of it's going to be held at the convention center, correct?
Majority of them, some of the activities will be either at various locations throughout the city and of Honolulu, from Alama Settlement to Waikiki, Kaka'ako. Yeah, but there's so many events for 2 weeks. It's a fabulous event. I went to it in 2 years before pandemic. It was a fabulous event.
Any other comments from the community? Oh, Kelly.
Yes, thank you, Chair. Mr. Kai, I was wondering if it would be possible if you could find out and report back to us what happened with the bidding for the St. Francis property, because I know UH tried to bid and then was outbid, but I'm wondering how that happened, because I'm wondering, like, there was just a $6 million difference in the amount of I think UH was outbid by just $6 million. And so how did it happen that UH got so close, but lost out on this very valuable opportunity to have
For
the
sure.
campus extended?
Yeah, for sure. I do that in July. We actually talked about it maybe several months ago, but I will bring that information back out and present at the July meeting.
Okay, thank you very much.
Welcome.
Any other members of the community? Oh, Hector?
Also,
Hi,
the
Hector.
University of Hawaii is hosting some of the Special Olympics events both Saturday and Sunday. So it's going to be a very busy parking lot. Thank you, Elmer.
Welcome.
That's the events that you did not mention about Special Olympics. Thank you.
Oh, no, sorry about that. You're correct. Yeah, some of the other community events, UH Manoa has been, because of a lot of the areas are now kind of being renovated. Everybody's coming to our campus to use it. But thank you for reminding me, Hector.
Let's see. Oh, Patty, do you have your hand raised again?
Yes, thank you, Chair. Elma, sorry, I wanted to circle back about the event calendar for the campus. I know we were working on that for a while.
No, I think I mentioned to you that it's really under the current AD. That's kind of not a priority for him. So I would suggest, Patty, is you and David give Craig a call. Right?
So he's in charge of the lower campus facility, not UH.
But he's in charge of the website, the calendar website for the
Oh.
lower campus. Yeah.
Okay, but I mean, who's in charge of the lower campus facilities? It's
Jan
facility
Govea.
management.
Well, it's Jan Govea as well as Craig Angelos. So.
But you're saying Craig is in charge of the calendar, or
Because that's where most of the events scheduled at the lower campus comes through athletics.
oh, so you'd have to go through his department to have it
Yes.
scheduled.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, got it. Thanks.
Welcome.
I don't see any more hands raised from the community. Elmer, thank you.
Thank you.
We're going to move on to city monthly reports next. Dominic Diaz from the Board of Water Supply was unable to stay with us. He had something to attend to. But real quickly, Board of Water Supply works to ensure that the water served to the communities is safe to drink. Each year, BWS conducts thousands of tests on the water sources and distribution system to ensure that municipal water meets or exceeds all federal and state safe drinking water standards. The results of those tests are shared with customers in an annual water quality report, and the report for this year will be mailed to all customers by July 1st. Additional copies will be available on the Board of Water Supply's website. And if you need to talk to the Board of Water Supply, you can reach them at 808-748-5041. Again, the number is 808-748-5041. Moving on, next on the agenda, we have Kim, Mayor Belagiardi's representative. Kim? Kim, you're muted still. Your mic's open, but we can't hear you on your mic. No, can't hear you right now. I'm going to come back to you later on, see if we can get that situation handled. In the meantime, monthly reports from the state. Senator Fukunaga, or somebody from Senator Fukunaga's office.
How about Calvin Say? Forgot Calvin.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're right. I missed Calvin. My bad. Thank you for bringing that up, Ellen. Eyes are getting cross-eyed at 9:15. Councilmember Say, is anybody from Councilmember Say, or is Councilmember Say available?
Hi, Chair. Hi, Chair Zane. This is Pua from Councilmember Say's office. He apologizes that he couldn't attend the meeting tonight. I'm going to give you the report, our monthly report. So I just wanted to let you know that the June newsletter link is in the chat. Also, the announcements of the budget is being, the last of the budget for 2025 is being heard at the moment. There's a curb ramp project that is still ongoing. It started from April 1st, 2024 to October 2024. And this is the City and County of Honolulu Department Design and Construction is advising the public that a curb ramp project in various locations on Oahu will begin at that time. It should be completed in October. That's what they're forecasting. And work is expected to run on weekdays from 8:30 to 3:30 p.m., excluding holidays. And in Manoa, it's going to be on Oahu Avenue and Kamehameha Avenue. I did put other links in the chat. If you guys have any kind of updates. The one thing that I do want to stress is Complete Streets are having various projects happening all over the island. And just recently at the Ala Moana board, there was a street change on Cook and Queen. So they added a bike lane. So I just wanted to let you know that if anybody wants to know any kind of updates that are going on with Complete Streets in your area, I would highly recommend to sign up for their, I believe it's monthly or it's quarterly reports, so you guys are aware that there's going to be any kind of changes on certain roads, because it felt like the Manoa, the Ala Moana board was saying that it felt like just one day it was one way and the next day it changed. They like added the bike lane. So I just wanted you guys to be aware about that. Member Moylan, I wanted to let you know that I put the Primary Urban Center Development Plan link in the chat. So I have that available for you. Other stuff that's going on is, let's see, we have long-term projects like the Manoa Stream, Polua Street flood control improvements are at about 70%. So it's hopefully going to be done. And then the Manoa Valley District Park Gymnasium #2 and the multi-purpose building roof improvements is in its design stage. So I just wanted to keep you guys aware about that. The other thing too is that we had some constituent logs this past month. Lawrence Tom Ramsey requested from DPP an updated status on the Punahou Chalet permit proposed for plumbing repairs. And currently DPP had a final response letting them know that there was a approved permit because it was an emergency permit regarding plumbing. It's in the works right now and it's actually in the process of being started. And then the other thing is we have also other things that have been happening in Manoa about suggesting more scramble intersections within the near Wilder and University Avenue as a suggestion to regulate traffic and also regulate speeding. And I had some overhang foliage that needs to be cut back, and the Department of Facility and Maintenance are working on it. Currently, their queue is very long due to the flooding and due to the rains. So they are working on any kind of overgrowth that's happening in the community and in different parts of Oahu. And then I believe that's it. If you have any questions or concerns, please, I'm open for questionings. Mahalo.
Let's see, Member Fox. Robert? Okay, I'm not hearing him right now, so I'll come back to him later.
Can you hear me?
Oh, yes, I can hear you now.
Thank you so much. Sorry, it took me a little while to figure out how to do this. For Councilman Say's office, I did call again this last month. This will be my 5th time calling the office regarding a recurring problem, and that's at 2311 Miley Way. This is a monster home that was built by a Chinese developer from Shanghai. It's right behind my home, so I know it really, really well. This was supposed to be an extended family home. That was the application for the DPP. I've monitored this from the beginning. James Boy Lloyd was our inspector for Manoa, who did not even show up until I complained about the foundation problem, let alone the grading of the lot, which is well over 100 cubic yards, which required a permit. Nothing has ever been done about this property. We have 17 bedrooms, 17 baths. The ADU is a joke. It's just another apartment building. The entire lot is cemented, and every time it rains, we have at least 6 inches deep of water coming off into Miley Way, flooding us on the corner of Oahu and Miley Way. I am now the representative of this area, and I'm trying to respond for the people who are complaining to me. I was waiting for you to return to the office because I was told that nobody would respond until you got back. So with great politeness and I do request that we put this property into the Department of Permanent Planning. These are tenants. These are not extended family. And anybody who goes to this property will find that out and probably happen. I would like to make that formal request in the board of our neighborhood association so that it is recorded that we have made this official request of your office. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Member Fox. I appreciate the input. I know that we did get a final response in regards to that particular property on 2311 Miley Way. And at the time that it was built, according to the building permit, which is number 806768, it was issued in 2017, August 16 of 2017. And according to DPP or the Department of Planning and Permitting, there was no building code violations that were issued at that time. So I can go back with DPP and also and try and see what else we can do in regards to that property for you, if that's okay. And I can report back in July.
I would really appreciate your assistance, Pua. Since it's in my backyard, I built a 129-foot lava rock wall just to block this thing out. I don't easily spend $30,000. This was such an illegal construction. They were supposed to be on B5 visas here. These people stayed on property for 9 months. They lived at 2563 Date Street in a 2-bedroom apartment. They came from Shanghai. How do I know this? Because I overheard these people working. I speak Mandarin fluently, and I listened to them. I knew exactly what was going on. The violations for OSHA alone regarding the roof construction with no belts, no kind of restrictions whatsoever. I called the DPP. Nothing happened. P.S. I'm one of those people that turned the Department of Permitting and Planning into the FBI, which is why so many people went to jail. And I'm not going to back down off of this. I don't care what the DPP told you. This is a violation. They came to my house. This guy had the gall to come to my house with somebody who spoke English to offer me a bottle of wine. Oh, we're going to be nice neighbors, blah, 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 blah. And I was just very polite because I didn't want to stop anything. And then I went back over to the house and they were just laughing and checking, oh, that's stupid, white person doesn't know anything. So I know everything that went over there. All of our neighbors didn't open their mouths in fear of the Department of Permitting and Planning. Bruce Bilodeau actually sold his property on Miley Way to avoid harassment by the Department of Permitting and Planning because he's a contractor. This is the problem that we have here in Honolulu. This is just one example of the illegal activity that's going on in the Department of Permitting and Planning. In the previous administration, I'm praying to God that we have new people with good ethics and understanding and compassion of our neighborhoods that are now in charge of the DPP. That's my hope. And so I'm asking you, Pua, not to accept this blatant lie from the department and ask them to reopen this investigation because I am never backing down. If I have to go to the FBI one more time, I can guarantee you that I will. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Member Fox. I appreciate that comment.
Member Watson.
Thank you. I guess my comments come as I've heard from some other residents and people that regularly use Manoa District Park. Is their lawnmower broken or what? I mean, the grass in the ball fields, if I walk through there, it's up to my knees. So then after like 2 months, they come through and cut it, and it's like a hay field with big long swaths of grass just laying there. And they haven't even finished cutting all of the grass at the park. I mean, what are these people doing? And at this point, they just need to rake up this grass. There are some big piles in there that have been there 3 months of big, huge hay piles of moldy grass that now have mice and roaches running out of it. I mean, it's really gross to go to Manoa District Park. And it's just terrible. And they already need to mow the ball fields again. As I was there today, it was grass is about 6 inches high. And they haven't even finished mowing the part that's 12 inches high or up to your knees. So maybe they need a new lawnmower, maybe they need more crew, maybe they need something, but it's never been this bad in the last 20 years. And, you know, it rains a lot in Manoa. So, you know, oh, it's raining, we can't do it, it's not an excuse. So it looks really bad on the ball fields and by the tennis courts and all of the areas that you could walk there. And I really, you know, they're mowing it now, but they're just making it, it's like a hay field and the farmer forgot to collect the hay. So, I mean, that moldy old grass with mice and roaches in it needs to be picked up. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Watson. I will put in a request for investigative services with the Department of Parks and Recreation because it's within the park that you're talking about. And then I can also do another investigative report with the Department of Facility Maintenance to see who, if they both can tackle it or if it's something that just the parks will tackle. But I will put in a riser first thing tomorrow for sure.
Okay, thank you. And, you
Okay.
know, I mean, maybe they should just mow it once a week and they wouldn't have this issue, right? You know, but anyway, something needs to be done. It's just terrible. And I feel really bad for the kids trying to play baseball there. They hit their ball on the fields. You can't even see the ball. You can't even find the ball. And then you got all this hay bales there too. So it's a problem.
Okay, I will do that. Thank you, Member Watson.
I do not see or hear anybody else in the community who has comments for Mayor Belanger, for Councilmember Say's representative. So thank you very much, Pooh. I appreciate your time.
Sure. You guys have a good night. And then I'll be on until the rest of the meeting's over. So, yeah.
Yes. Sorry, I do see actually, Brett, did you have something for Councilmember Say's office? Brett? Maybe that's a mistake. I'm gonna move on then at this point. So
Thank you.
Yep. Kim, where we get your system working? Still can't hear you, Kim. You're muted right now, though. Try. Hold on. Let me try.
Okay. Does
Okay.
this work?
Yes, now that works.
Hallelujah. All right. I dialed in on my phone and didn't realize. Anyway, so here we are. We are here now. Thank you so much. Just a couple of updates and then a couple of promises that I make to follow up on some of the comments that I've heard. I put into the chat the link for Mayor's newsletter. You'll be able to see an update on the resolution that separates the Emergency Services Department and Ocean Safety and what's going on there. I know that there's been some, there was a civil beat write-up, I think, on the 911 system. So there's an update in there from the mayor as well. And then as our, I believe it was HPD mentioned, sorry, it's been a few hours. HPD mentioned it is Hurricane Preparedness Month. June through November is always hurricane season. So please, please, please be ready as best as you can. And then as HSD talked about, HECO's Public Safety Power Shutoff Program, which begins July 1st. We have an update in there as well. So some good information in that newsletter as always. I also added in there that Department of Parks is looking for staff to help with summer fun. So if you know even a recent high school graduate or you want to get in touch with your inner child, by all means, we'd love to have you help out with our summer fun programs. It's definitely in demand and we never have enough folks. So we want to make sure that that we can service those keiki, right? There are keiki, all of our keiki. We do have 2 more mayor town halls left. Tomorrow was supposed to be the last one at Kanoilani Elementary. They're on Olelo, so you don't have to go there. You can just listen in on Olelo and hear what the communities in other areas are concerned about and get some answers there. And then because of the rain a couple of weeks ago, we had to postpone the one in Waialua. So that one has been rescheduled to June 20th. So tomorrow, Kanoilani, 6:30, Waialua, 7 o'clock on June 20th. I just wanted to acknowledge, I believe it was Member Fukumoto that was talking about the Alawai mitigation project. I have noted that there is conflicting information in the public and that the website has not been updated since December 2023. I was checking that out myself. So I'll follow up with Department of Design and Construction and see what's going on there. Member Fox, I also hear you about the Miley Way monster home. So I'll follow up with Pua, who I'm tempted to actually steal from Councilmember Say, because she has done so much homework and basically can do my job. But we'll follow up on that and see what's going on there. And Member Watson, I can also follow up with Parks and see what's going on with the mowing issues. Thank you for understanding that there are shortages. I'm not going to use that as an excuse, but thank you for times there's just things that are beyond control. So I wanted to acknowledge I have heard you. I'm here to represent you to the administration, and I want to kind of take that off of Pua, but since that is my job. But we work closely with Councilmember Say's office and happy to follow up on your behalf. So that being said, that's my report, and I'm happy to take any questions, and anything I can't answer, I will go ahead and take back and bring back a report next month.
Great. I did see a hand raised by Member Lumen. No, I'm not hearing anything. Maybe his question was answered already. Representative Garrett.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Hey, Kim, I just wanted to thank you for having a crew from the Department of Facilities Maintenance clear out the Manoa Stream area by Koali Road. This is by the lower portion of the UH campus off Old Wailai. I think you told our staff that there was a problem with the crane issue, and that's what's preventing your team from going down to the Woodlawn Bridge area, which we're very sensitive to with the potential buildup. Do you have an update on when our crew might be able to clear out the area under Woodlawn Bridge by Longs?
No, I'll keep following up. There frankly is one crane for the whole island. And so that's part of the problem right now. They are looking into some other solutions with possibly contracting to get some folks that do have the cranes in there, but it is a safety issue. So I will put a marker on my calendar to make sure that I get an update for July, and that's the Woodlawn, right? Okay.
Appreciate it, Kim. Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other comments, questions? Clyde, are you back?
Yeah, I'm here.
Do you have
I
a
had a
question?
question. I just wanted to know if you received my letter regarding the Manoa School using it for the board meetings.
Are you asking me or asking?
The next step?
No, I was asking Zane, sorry.
Okay.
Oh, me? You're asking me?
Yeah.
Yes, I did get your email about it. But can we talk about this later? And because we still have other items that we need to go to before we hit that particular item.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Sure.
I saw that Dylan Armstrong had his hand raised as well. Dylan, did you have anything to ask him?
Thank you very much, Chair Zane. This is Dylan Armstrong. I just wanted to say to Kim, mahalo for her report, and I wanted to note that I appreciated the mayor standing up for Heart CEO Lori Kahikina, who, as many know, is paid substantially less than all of her predecessors that we know of, Dan Grabowskis, Brennan Morioka, etc., and that there are currently some concerns that she may be bullied in the workplace. And I am just curious if Kim has anything to expand upon regarding that. But compliment aside, I would also want to ask that if Lori Kahikina is forced out of that position, would she be considered for a severance equal to what Dan Grabowskis got in 2016, which was $300,000, which is far more than Lori Kahikina makes per year now? Thank you.
I will pass along your compliment to the mayor. I enjoy working with Lori as well. She's definitely a force to be reckoned with. Personal issues are personal issues. Part is completely separate. The board controls what happens there. Yes, the council controls the budget in some regards, but the board controls that. So it's really not a place for the city to speak on that question. And any severance would have to be, approved by the board and through personnel protocols. So sorry, that's kind of a non-answer, but it's really not in our purview.
Any other questions or comments? Hearing, seeing none. Kim, thank you.
Thank you all.
So moving on next, Senator Fukunaga with state monthly reports now. Is Senator Fukunaga or somebody from her office here?
Aloha. In the interest of time, I'm just going to real briefly note that we submitted my report to the neighborhood board earlier this afternoon, covering some of the bills like Bill 3202, which the board has taken a very strong position, opposing. And so I appreciated the discussion tonight of the Aria Lane project, which, will actually take a look at whether or not projects like those could avail themselves of some of the incentives that were included in that bill. So I think this discussion was very valuable. We also included a couple of the legislative highlights for area schools and wildfire mitigation, which thank you again to the board for your support for this wildfire mitigation area. I would note that CTAR, who some of you have met with previously, has also received a fairly substantial forest rehabilitation grant from the USDA Forestry Division. So we are going to be following up with them. I believe Malama Manoa is also doing some projects in the region. So thank you to the board for taking a very strong position at the front end. Finally, the issue of property insurance, which is a really big concern, not only for condo property owners, but also for single family owners whose hurricane coverage is becoming a severe problem. There is an upcoming condominium insurance update panel, which is being scheduled on Monday, June 10th. I included the information on that panel in my report and happy to answer any questions.
Are there any questions for Senator Fukunaga? Member Bolsel.
Thank you, Chair. This is not a direct question on anything you addressed, but I wanted to ask you know, I don't know if you know, we have been looking for a new physical location for the Manoa Neighborhood Board to meet in. And one thing that member Fukumoto brought up earlier was that, you know, our elected representatives could potentially help out regarding Aria Lane, representing the views of those on Pomoa and Alaula, but I wonder if we could ask the same of you in helping us appeal to the University of Hawaii, who has, I believe, so far said that maybe there were liability concerns with us meeting on the UH campus. I'm just wondering if there's any way that we can move forward in finding a location for us to meet. It seems to me that UH makes the most sense as being you know, having the greatest number of buildings at their disposal and still in our community. So I'm just wondering if that's something that you or, you know, Mr. Garrett or anybody else could help us with in those discussions.
Well, sure, we'd be happy to, inquire further. I know that in the past, many of the elementary school cafeterias were sort of the areas preferred, by community neighbors for neighborhood board meetings because it made it easier to park, without having to worry about going on campus and having to walk long distances. But we can certainly inquire and, see whether or not there's facilities that might be available that would not impose, kind of distance or other kinds of parking burdens on neighbors and the public.
We had started in discussion with Elmer, we had discussed the IFA as being potentially useful as far as a central location and like a central parking area related to the building. And then I think it became an issue of liability and, you know, sort of bogged down in this stuff. I believe we've been looking into this for at least a year, I believe. And I think, I don't remember who it was who was in contact with Noelani, but they had said they were no longer able to do it. That is where we, you know, previously did it, you know, but they had said that they didn't want to host that further. That's why we are on the hunt.
Okay, well, we can certainly check with the university and I believe the Hawaii, not Hawaii State Library, but Manoa Library also has some meeting space. So, this may be a good time to take a look at all of the available facilities and see what may be most useful.
Yes, thank you. I do think, you know, that a lot of folks had looked into it. So I'm not trying to ask you or your office to necessarily do that research, because I think a lot of the neighborhood board members had started to look into and contact all these different folks, and the library was also a no. I wasn't the one who contacted them, but they were a no for one reason. Noelani was a no for one reason. I believe one of the churches might have been a maybe, but again, just the UH has so many buildings at their disposal. And I know from the master plan presentation that Elmer did, you know, that was probably 2 years ago, that there's a lot of buildings that are sort of underutilized. I mean, I think that was more in regards to office space, but there's quite a lot of real estate there that I feel like we ought to be able to find something that might work. And that had been a discussion, and I'm just wondering, you know, that was going to be something that we were going to discuss further, and I just wonder whether it would be helpful to have our elected.
If somebody can send us a copy of, whatever summary or report the board has put together or the staff has put together regarding whatever facilities you've already investigated, that would be a good starting point. We can report back next month.
Okay, thank you.
In terms of that as well, Member Lumen also sent out an email about the availability of Manoa Elementary's cafeteria. The one problem is that if we submit an application for that location, the school would need to find a janitor that's willing to clean after 10 o'clock p.m. And if they can't find a janitor, they won't let us use that space. So just as an FYI for now, for your consideration.
Robert?
It said Manoa Elementary. Member Lumen's email says from Manoa Elementary School.
Oh, I don't know. I checked with Manoa Elementary School and the problems that I found out with them, because I went and met with them earlier, you know, in the fall, I think it was, that they don't let out their cafeteria to any particular group on a regular basis. So they can
Right.
only book reservations 1 month at a time. So they wouldn't be able to guarantee that we can meet the first Wednesday of every month in Manoa cafeteria. And also it's not Wi-Fi capable, so we couldn't do a hybrid meeting.
Oh.
Um,
Can I
I
say
didn't know
something?
anything about the janitor.
Yeah, we'll quickly because we still do have Representative Garrett. I just wanted to get an FYI, but real quickly, Member Loomis, since you did comment, send the email that
Okay, thank you.
Am I up? This is Mac.
yeah,
This is Mr.
yeah,
Rubin. Okay,
yeah, Member Loomis.
I talked to the school last week and they told me we'd have 2 months in a row rather than just one. At first they said one, then they changed it to two. So we could have 2 months, and after the second month, we could apply for another 2 months. We could possibly, after the first meeting, apply for a third month out. But we have to fill out the applications first for each month, and then they have to find the janitor. They won't ask the janitor before we fill out the application. So I was hoping we could maybe tell the janitor that we'd pass a hat around and try to get a tip for him. But I didn't know about the Wi-Fi, so that's a problem, possibly. But we can do 2 months, not one.
Okay, thank you for the update on that. Is there any other comments at this time for Senator Fukunaga? I'm not seeing any. Senator, thank you for your time. Up next, we have Representative Garrett.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Yeah, just in the interest of time, I'll just note that I dropped my end of session newsletter into the chat box. This is the same newsletter that went out to the district a few weeks ago after we had adjourned the 2024 session. Just a quick update on where we stand with all the bills that we passed. So as of today, the governor signed about 50 bills, and there's still 213 he's still reviewing with his team. He does have to submit an intent to veto list to the legislature, so that deadline is June 25th, with the actual veto deadline being July 10th. At this point, it doesn't look like we'll come back in special session for an override based on what he may include on that intent to veto list. So I'll just stop there and see if there are any questions. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Representative. Any questions for Representative Garrett? Oh, Kelly.
Yes, thank you, Chair. I had a question about the UH bidding, and I know you had submitted was it a resolution to help UH to get the bid for the St. Francis property? And I just wanted more details on that and what happened with that.
Sure, Kelly, thanks for the question. So yes, I actually introduced a bill in my first year in 2023. It was House Bill 258 that would have appropriated money for UH to acquire the St. Francis parcel. At the time, the property was in escrow with Miss Camp, which obviously ultimately closed. There were efforts predating me being elected, though. I think it goes back to 2018, 2019, I'm sorry, the school closed in 2018, I believe. So shortly thereafter, UH did make some efforts to acquire the property. So yeah, I think at this point, it's just best to defer to Elmer. I know he said he'll do some research as to the timeline of events there that led to that. Because I'm not 100% sure on exactly what the amount was that they offered and what some of the roadblocks were.
Okay, thank you very much.
Sure.
Any other comments, questions from the community? Oh, Member Watson.
Hi, Andrew. I guess at this point, there's nothing that state can do or the UH can do to get the property. Like the state can't condemn the land, right? For public good to make it part of the university. And whatever happens with the money has to happen with the money. I mean, maybe you have to pay Avalon what they paid to get it, but I guess we're beyond a point of no return. Is that true? And it's just a shame because once in a lifetime opportunity, and the university really needed that. And it was a perfect match. And there's nothing that can be done now about the state condemning it and saying it's for public good, that's a better use. That's a question.
Sure. No, thank you for the question. I mean, I agree with you in terms of it's, being a real shame in terms of a lost opportunity. They're not going to have a 12-acre parcel next to them, adjacent to their campus. They could have done a lot of different things with it for future expansion or faculty housing, student housing, or whatnot. There's always the ability to use eminent domain, but it is a pretty high threshold to use that. I mean, you got to think back to when, there were a lot of homes in like the Makali, Moile, Kemuki area that were cleared out to make room for the H1 freeway. It would have to be that kind of a public good. I'm not sure if acquiring this for UH reaches that threshold. But I mean, it would be a very, very high bar and a heavy lift to use that as a means to acquire it. But I think at a prior meeting, if I'm not mistaken, Ms. Camp did say that if this project were to run into roadblocks, that she would have to kind of reassess her options. So I'm still holding out hope that this project doesn't get off the ground for whatever reason, whether it's community opposition or financing or whatever, permitting or the entitlement process, that she might be open to selling the property to UH or any other buyer at that point. But again, this is a private sale that was closed at this point. She's holds the title clear, so it's the ball is really in her court as to what she wants to do with it.
Member Koff? Joan? Joan, do you have a question or a comment for
Yes,
Representative
I
Garrett?
do. You hear
Okay.
me now? I'm sorry.
Yes.
My statement actually, or question has to do with the new bill that the governor signed to permit the ADUs in areas all over the island and so forth. Regardless of the community status, is there anything that we can do now at this point, or it's just now over?
Yeah, unfortunately, as you noted, Member Koff, the governor did sign the bill. There is some wiggle room in terms of the city council having to enact certain provisions. So the ball is kind of in the city council's court. So I know there are a lot of members of that body who are concerned about, home rule and other issues and the state kind of usurping zoning authority that's typically given to the counties. We'll have to see how they react to it because there is a kind of a delayed effective date on the bill. So, starting tomorrow, people can't just build additional ADUs. There are other triggers that need to be met before the bill goes into effect in its entirety. And again, the ball at this point is going to be in the city council's court.
Thank you. Thank you for clarifying that. Thank you very much.
Oh, you're very welcome.
Mr. Armstrong.
Thank you very much, Chair Zane. I want to mahalo Representative Garrett, especially for a fairly successful legislative session on his end. And I want to note that, for anyone who's read Who Runs the University, which is a classic book on UH, this is a problem that is not just about this property. It's a problem that goes back decades with the university being divided up into a bunch of satellite campuses and money on salaries being frittered away because there's too many campuses with too many programs instead of a flagship university that is set up to succeed. And our wonderful state senate likes to play games with the UH budget. So had UH not been left in this position for so many years, they could have been a competitive bidder and we wouldn't be talking about eminent domain, etc. Sorry that was really just a rant, but we have to think about the bigger picture. Mahalo.
Okay. I am not hearing or seeing anybody else with hands raised or comments. Representative Garrett, thank you for your time.
Thank you. See you next month.
Yes. We've already gone through Elmer. Is Governor Josh Green's representative still around?
Hi.
Yes, I'm sorry. We only have 6 minutes. If you can be really quick, Lacey.
Yes, I will be super quick. So just a couple of highlights from Governor Green's newsletter. There are community grants available to fight coconut rhinoceros beetles. So if anyone's interested, you can go to the Hawaii Department of Agriculture's website. I'll also drop the link in the chat. Deadline to submit proposals is June 7th. As mentioned earlier, FestPack is underway starting tomorrow through the 16th. So if anyone's interested in joining any of the events, you can get more information at festpackhawaii.org. And for the rest of the newsletter, I'll put that link in the chat as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Real quickly, is anybody who has any questions for Governor Green's representative? I'm not hearing or seeing anybody. Lacey, thank you for your time and for staying on. Moving on, next on the agenda is Julia from Congressman Ed Case's office on the line. I don't see her as one of the participants, and I'm not hearing anything. So at this point, are there any other concerns? We have 5 minutes left at this point. One thing real quickly I would like to at least mention is that there are 2 links inside of the agenda for the Disability and Communication Access Board. According to them, they often receive calls and emails about misuse of disability parking permits or parking lots and accessible parking spaces that are not design compliant with federal or state regulations. They try to provide technical advice to permittees on the proper use of their parking permits and to parking lot owners on the legally required design regulations for parking lots and accessible parking spaces. And so those 2 web pages are down there below to assist the public in submitting concerns for possible follow-up. Other than that, are there any other concerns that people would like to raise at this meeting? Brendan Schultz.
Aloha, everybody. I hope you're doing well. My name is Brendan Schultz. I'm one of your neighbors down in Makiki. As I'm sure all of you know, we have an election coming up this August, and I will be one of the candidates on your ballot for City Council District Number 5. I look forward to meeting all of you over the next few months and really enjoyed listening to the conversations this evening.
Thank you. Dave?
Thanks. I'm not going to try to do a vote or anything right now just because we have only about 3 minutes left. But on the topic of potentially going back to in-person, since the main issue for Noelani is that we don't is having a hard time getting a janitor who's willing to stay that late. I just wanted to float the idea of maybe starting an hour earlier. So we start at 6. Is that some people would be interested in, and would that make a difference in getting the personnel lined up?
I understand your concerns regarding that. It's also a question of availability of not only members of the board, but members of the community as well. I know I'm a lot of times still stuck in behind work at 6 o'clock. So I'm willing to humor the subject for consideration. And again, the discussion on Manoa Neighborhood Board in-person meeting locations will always be agenda item until such time we actually do return into in-person meetings. So we can further discuss that and also bring that up at the next meeting. So thank you for that. At this point, though, with 2 minutes remaining, I don't see other hands raised. I'm going to move forward with announcements at this time. So the next meeting.
Chair.
Yes.
Member Moylan has a hand up.
Oh, Member Moylan, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
It's just an announcement related to those who would like to meet in person. Any board members, or of course our staffer, who would like to meet in person, I'm having a party at my house on Saturday now that I'm finally unpacked. So I'd be happy to see any of you come over there. Anytime after 7:30.
Great. Thank you for that. Also, well, quickly, the next meeting is currently scheduled for the Wednesday, July 3rd, 2024. We were supposed to have a break this month, but we decided to have this meeting for the St. Francis project. Does the members of the board wish to have the meeting on July 3rd, considering the next day is 4th of July, or would you like to use that as our break? Anybody any comments or questions on that? Or want to put up a vote real quickly with 1 minute left?
I'm not sure if we have time for a vote, but I'm in favor of a meeting next month just because we have things in circulation and there might be developments that happen over the next few weeks.
Fair enough. Member Fox?
I prefer to take a break.
Take a break. That's what I wanted to say.
Weekend is very difficult for us to attend.
Yes, I agree.
Okay. Real
Chair,
quickly.
I will be
let's-
out. Member Bosel just saying I won't be able to attend no matter what. So.
Okay,
Right.
shoot. It's 10 o'clock. 10 o'clock now, really quick. A little rebroadcast. Watch on 2nd and 4th Saturdays of the month at 3 o'clock p.m. or every third Tuesday at 9 o'clock p.m. or Wednesday online at Olelo. Can we do a vote? Answer, do we still have time to do a vote to see if we can do this? Postpone do the break on the July month.
Okay, well, this is a hard one because we did, and it wasn't on the schedule earlier, but if you guys do want it's fine, I believe. I just would have to ask them, but there's a possibility we can or cannot.
Sorry,
So
didn't we actually vote last time to simply delay and meet this time and delay our break till the following and the discussion of that?
No,
I
we
don't
didn't.
believe that was the vote at the last meeting.
Oh wait, I can try and ask my boss right now if that's possible.
That's fine if you can. I think you may have to get back to us via email at that point though, because it's already 10:01.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So
Aloha, Chair
if
Zane. Sorry,
yes.
this is Pua from Councilmember Say's office, and I used to work at the NCO, as you know. You need a 3/4 vote in order for you to bring that up as a topic since it wasn't on the agenda. But if you wanted to communicate via email, then you can do that. Just to let you know.
Okay, so we could Pua answered if we could do it if maybe is there an email poll possible with the members of the board on this matter?
It can't be an email vote, but it can be an email communication, unless you guys want to do a quick 3/4 vote right now.
Yeah, I propose. I'd like to.
Oh wait, I asked my boss. He said if you guys want to recess, just make a motion and it's fine.
She's doing that now.
Oh, sorry.
Member Boso, I hear a
Okay.
motion. I heard member Boso made a motion to
I didn't
take a
finish.
break
I
for
just
July.
make a motion that we take a break next month.
Second.
Second from member Boylan.
Okay.
So do we in which case we need does anybody object at this point? I'm not hearing an objection.
Do we still have quorum?
Do we still have quorum? That is a good question.
Can I just do a roll? I'll do a quick roll call vote and you just see if we do. Okay.
Yeah, let's do a roll call vote.
Okay. When I say your name, please say yes, no, or abstain. Zane.
Yes.
Watson.
Yes.
Bozo.
Yes.
Dave.
Yes.
Fukumoto.
Yes.
Lumen.
Yes.
Lee. Okay. Cough. Cough.
Yes.
Okay. Chong. Chong.
Yes.
Okay. Moylan.
Yes.
Patty.
Yes.
Fox.
Yes.
And Joseph.
Yes.
Okay. Yep. We made quorum.
Great.
Okay. So we will be taking our recess then on the month of July. We will be reconvening in August. So that would be August 7th at 7 o'clock on via WebEx. So
Okay.
thank you. The meeting is adjourned a little bit late at 10:04 p.m. So thank you very much for your patience, everybody. Appreciate the good discussion earlier tonight.
Robert, you always got to bring your dog.
He's right. He's waiting for me to take him out for